Hello, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Ben and Woods 97.3. The Fan, get your heads right. It is it's a World Series Friday. The World Series has arrived, and we're not in it, unfortunately. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend, as has already been mentioned in the chat. So let's go Yankees. No problem. No problem rooting for the Yanks today. They take on the L.A. Dodgers. Game 1 tonight, 5:08. We'll be talking about that. It's going to be a good day. Today is Friday. We're all a little bit worse for wear, I'd say. A little bit worn out, but we're all in it together, that's for sure. And we get to live in San Diego, and we won't have Carmageddon tonight. I mean, it's going to be bad traffic because it's Friday. Nothing like Los Angeles. Absolutely nothing like what's going to go up there, what's going to happen there today. It's going to be insane. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He is the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Got Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. A little tired. Felt like a long week this week.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, you said, we said this earlier off the air, and you said, it shouldn't be a long week for you. You had a day off. Yeah, I was at Disneyland pushing a 700-pound stroller around. It's not tiring. When we got home that night, I was exhausted, or that afternoon.
Of course.
Bo says, hey, can you play baseball with me? And I looked at him, I go, what? And he goes, can you play baseball with me? Now, normally, I say, yeah, sure, I'll throw you some grounders. I go, no. And he goes, well, why not? I go, we had different Disney experiences. I go, I pushed you around in a covered stroller for 7 hours. You had a cover over you. You were laying there, sucking your thumb. I'm pushing you, the double bob, which is about 400 pounds, pushing this sled, weaving it around Disneyland. And I said, buddy, I'm exhausted, mentally, physically.
What do they call that back in the day? Like a litter, where you could
a litter, yeah.
You could have had the two poles and just carry them all the way through Disneyland in a litter.
I said, bro, come on. I love you. And I feel bad now, in hindsight, turning him down. What if those are the grounders that would have propelled him to the next level? Like, yeah, I almost made it, but made this error and didn't get selected.
The thing he's talking about in therapy in
it could be
15 years.
It could be. Yeah,
My dad wouldn't throw me grounders. He didn't? Well, I mean, he did every day except that one day we went to Disneyland.
Yeah, one day he took me to Disneyland, spent a fortune on me, bought me everything I wanted, rode everything, got the food I wanted, drove. I go, Bo, I also drove both ways. I'm whipped. And he's like, he looks at me, he goes, fine, and then throws his shoes. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude. It's so hard to navigate these little turds, man. But I said, no, dude, we had completely different experiences. So, yes, I'm a little spent as well. But listen, man, this is where we make our money in the off season. Ben and Woods, we're going to keep plowing ahead. Thank you guys for being here. We certainly do appreciate it. Certainly
I do feel like, guess what? We are already 1 week closer. It goes faster than you think.
It does.
I realize that the World Series hasn't even started yet, but
we are getting into the grind for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like November is pretty lean. I mean, you got the GM meetings, and
yep.
You don't pull a whole lot from the GM meetings. Then you get to December, and it's okay. Winter meetings might be some headlines there. Then we have the extravaganza, and then we're out. Then we come back. We got like a week or two before fantasy camp. Come back from that, and it's like 3 weeks until we're off to spring training.
If AJ Preller would let us mic him up for the GM meetings, then we'd get some good content. Until that day happens, where he lets us actually mic him up and listen to all of his conversations with other GMs, it is going to be a little bit lean. But I would pay a pretty good amount of money for that, to hear the intimate conversations with, Ben Charrington or whoever he's talking to in there.
Do you think he's any more interesting in his private conversations than he is in the, Zoom media sessions?
Ask your brother. Ask your brother.
I know.
Who plays basketball with him. He gets way more stuff than we get. We get nothing. We get nada. Zero.
I need to
right?
get AJ out on the tier ones, man.
What?
I need to get AJ out and play with the tier
Playing
ones.
baseball with us?
No, basketball.
Oh, basketball. Oh, yeah, dude. He's like a baller.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's super fun on the court because he's really good, apparently.
Yeah, apparently he's a total G out there, which it's crazy. I mean, he looks like he's a stone cold killer. But yeah, I think he's totally different when he's sitting down chopping it up with another GM. about what are you looking for? Now, this is what we're looking for. Is this guy a problem for you? Yeah, he's a bit of a problem for us, but I think you guys could probably whip him into shape. Whatever it is, I think it'd be much.
I always wonder though how careful they are in not revealing too much. I mean, they're so paranoid about not giving out information to the media, presumably because they don't want other organizations to get that information.
Sure.
So when you're actually talking to those other GMs, wouldn't it make sense that you're actually even more buttoned up and more careful about your words and guarded when you're talking to an actual employee, general manager of another organization who very well could use whatever you say to them against you in a future trade negotiation?
It's got to be a really tough world to navigate. As you're looking to add a piece but get rid of a piece, and they're looking at you with the side eye going, so why don't you want him? If he's
exactly,
he's got he's a plus fastball, plus slider, plus changeup, but he's not a fit for you. Why's that? Huh? Interesting.
The second you say, we're talking about whatever player in a deal, you now have given that information. Okay, they want to trade him for some reason.
Yeah, why do they want to trade him?
Right. Then you call your guys and you go, dig into this guy. I don't know, why are they willing to trade him?
What's the problem?
What's wrong with him?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Lack of confidence, ugly girlfriend. Yeah, that's it. What do they say in Moneyball? He just goes, this is just a problem for us. It's just a problem for us. And again, other team might look at somebody and go, oh, I see a wealth of talent. And it's not like we haven't seen guys leave here and get better. Guys have gone other places, and you never know what a player's going through where they look at it and go, man, this is my last chance. I better get my ass together and really buckle down.
It happens all the
time.
It happens the other way, too, where we get that player.
Sure,
Jake Cronenworth was a throw-in.
Jeremiah Estrada, man. I mean, what better example than that? You don't think the Cubs could have used the Jeremiah Estrada at the back of their
Jurickson Profar.
Jurickson Profar, right. It's just one of those things, man. So, we'll obviously with any Padres news, you can tune into 97.3 The Fan, and we'll have it for you. But yeah, we're a little bit we're wanting some news.
I think part of my exhaustion also stems from more IKEA construction yesterday.
More.
Well, you have to put everything together once you get it home, and my son was putting together his new bed frame, and
I didn't know you got a frame.
He was doing a frame as well, yeah.
So when you went last week, you got a desk,
and an end table, and a bed frame, yeah.
Okay, those three things.
Yeah.
You put together the desk last week.
Yes, we did that first for my older son. This is for my younger son. Needed a new bed frame, and for some reason you get to one step and you can't get it together. It's like, okay, the screw doesn't quite go all the way through. You move on, and then it comes back apart, and you got to take everything apart and go back to that step where somehow you just can't get it right, like over and over again. You're trying, and what am I missing about this little picture? There's no words, of course, in IKEA instructions.
I'll tell you what you're missing. Skills to do things like that. That's the only thing that you're missing. You're missing the skill, dexterity, and let's be honest, ring the bell on me, the manliness to do it.
I eventually got it, though, right. It took forever.
Right.
But I eventually got it right. So I had the skill to do it, just not the first time or the second time or the third time.
When did you do this?
Between
after work?
Our show and when I went back to Channel 10.
So there is an app that you can use you can get a handyman to come out and do it for you. TaskRabbit.
That completely undoes the appeal of IKEA, and that is the affordability of
they're like masters at
furniture.
So the cool thing is I bought Hannah for her birthday.
Why would you buy anything and not want it done the right way?
That's 99%
and
of
the first time.
The other 1% is that I'm a lazy turd. But so she wanted this big rack, which she already has. She wanted a big weight rack for all of her dumbbells for her gym. So I thought, okay. I went online, I bought it. What's that brand that you see all over the gym? It's sturdy, dude. It's like
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like steel. And it was delivered on a pallet. It was 1,000 pounds. I mean, it's massive. So it gets dropped off in the driveway, and I go, "Oh yeah, I'm not putting that together." She's like, "You're not?" I go, "No. I'll hire it done." So I'm scrolling through the different handymen on there, and Benny, the top-rated guys all have IKEA master, like IKEA. These guys that guy probably could have done it in 15 minutes. That's what they do, and they do it really well.
But that to me is surrender and failure.
No, it's not. That's being smart.
Dude, in my younger days,
can do it.
You have 2 jobs.
I've mounted televisions on my own.
Sure.
You don't feel confident in it. You're like, this could fall off the wall at any time.
Correct.
Now, if you're spending
how do you know that the person who put it up doesn't also feel like,
well, that's what they do.
Fall off the wall.
That's what they do.
It's a job for them.
That's what they do for a living. Nate, now here's Nate in the chat saying that handyman. Come on, testosterone is vanishing. No, it's being smart. It's knowing what you don't know. And that
I'm good at following instructions, though. I am. When they're spelled out generally step by step. That's one of my skills.
Right, change your oil next time, then. Just
right.
read the instructions.
Is there instructions for that?
Online.
I've never seen instructions.
Here's the deal.
Well, I did. I changed my washer fluid based on a YouTube video.
Next time you do a colonoscopy, just do it yourself.
Just read the instructions.
That's what a man does. Man gives himself his own colonoscopy. If you have full testosterone, you just give it to yourself.
How to give?
Yeah. How about a vasectomy? I'll just do it myself. Nate, you going to give yourself a vasectomy? No. Well, there's Orthodox in the chat. Happy to help. I make a living on this stuff.
All right, here you go. How to give yourself a vasectomy.
Exactly.
Take a sharp knife or scalpel.
Right.
I'm not going to read the rest.
Go ahead.
You actually Googled that? Is that
of course.
Something
we're men. We got to read the directions. We do it ourselves.
Why would a man give himself his own vasectomy? He's caught in the woods. He's stuck out there. He's like, I might as well get this done while I'm out here. No, I'm telling you. Look, I know for you it's the money. It's not the sense of accomplishment. Here's the thing. You have 2 jobs, 2 full-time jobs. Giving yourself a little extra peace and quiet for $70 feels like a no-brainer to me. It's just an absolute no-brainer.
I'm not wired that way. I'm not.
You need to rewire yourself.
There's a way that you can do it with less expense. I feel like you should try to do it that way first.
These aren't like random slobs. They're random people, sure, but like
I'm not. It's not the people.
I hired a TaskRabbit to put in like a floating shelf that I didn't want to mess with the studs and the wall and all that. I hired a guy, and I was talking to him, and I'm like, "So is this like your job?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm my own boss, but I am booked like all day, every day, sometimes 6 or 7 days a week.
They're incredible.
Everybody needs handiwork, and it's just minor things, but I make really great money doing it.
It's incredible. It was when I found this guy, and the guy was elite. He came over, put the thing together, put it in the garage, set the dumbbells on it, and I went, it was worth every penny. You know what I did while he did it? I sat inside and ate Chick-fil-A. That's what I did. And he had a great day, and I had a great day. Everybody
How did you gain all the weight?
Yeah, I get TaskRabbits to do all my tasks for me. It's not like you're broke. You can afford the $70.
I get that, but you're also then having to schedule it at the time that's going to work.
Super easy.
It's not that easy.
It's like more. It's like
a full calendar with all the availability. You pick the time.
Yes, you pick. It's such a good app.
He wanted to get it done that day right away, so we just did it. It's done now.
It'll take you 5 minutes.
Got done.
All right. Well, how many hours did it take you?
It took me about 2, and then he finished it after I left.
What's your time worth? Is your time worth $35 an hour?
It's the time that I'm not doing anything. I should be productive during that time. You just want me to sit on my butt and do nothing for 2 hours?
I want you to turn your brain off.
That's what I've wanted every day since I've met you.
I cannot do that.
You know, that's all I've ever wanted for you is peace. That's it. Success, riches, no. Peace.
I always feel like I want peace, but the second I get it, I get antsy and go, I should be doing something.
Renee in the chat says, wimps. Oh, she just deleted it. She said, I'm a 56-year-old woman, and I do it myself. Good for you. I'm telling you, Renee, there's things I'm good at. There's things I'm not. I'm glad to pay for the things. I'm glad to pay for the things that I'm not good at and I'm contributing to somebody else's day.
When I buy any piece of furniture or anything like from IKEA, Target, whatever, I can take one look at it,
Go, that's not for me.
whether it's online or in the store, and I can go, yeah, I can put that together.
Yeah,
Or,
of course.
absolutely no chance. Somebody else will be doing that.
My wife brings up the Nate Bargatze stand-up. The handyman shows up and goes, "Is your husband home?" He goes, "Yeah, she's around here somewhere." That's identical to my house. It's so good. Well, listen, yes, Dominic's man's got to know his limitations. I know mine. And anything with a screwdriver or a ratchet or a stud finder, best left to somebody else. I'm just going to do more damage in the end. And I'm going to be more frustrated. I'm going to be a worse father and a worse husband if I'm the one stuck doing it. So there you go. Well, I'm glad you got it done.
Yes, we got it done.
Hope it stays together.
No, I've never had like a complete failure.
Do you feel more manly now that you did it? Or less because it took you 3 times?
No, I think I just feel there is a sense of accomplishment.
Sure,
which
anytime.
is nice. You know, getting it done yourself. But there's also the obviously extra fatigue. Taxing yourself.
If you know why our show is terrible today,
there you go.
It's because of IKEA.
You could have just hired somebody. You wouldn't be tired this morning.
Yeah, you'd be feeling great.
I don't think that would be true either.
You're feeling great. Yeah, these guys always tired.
We will set the menu when we come back. It is the Friday edition of Ben and Woods World Series Game 1 coming up tonight, unfortunately, from Dodger Stadium. We'll get into all of it coming up. First, Kelly Danick's got a check of traffic. Ben, Woods, and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Any big plans this weekend?
Let's see. Soccer game tomorrow at 10 for Bo. Notre Dame plays at 9. Soccer
early.
game's at 10. I'll be able to watch, opening kickoff.
They made my Ben Super Saturday college football lineup, which we'll get to later.
Not surprised, as they should. Huge game against Navy.
It is a big game.
It's a huge
Navy.
game. Yeah.
Sometimes you say that cynically, but in this case, very much true for both teams.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable. They're throwing this year. It's a whole different scene. They're throwing the football as well. So, going to be. I was mad at first, and now I'm like, you know what? It's probably fine. I don't have to watch that game because it's always like getting teeth pulled watching your team play against Navy and their triple option and all that. So we got that. We got baseball on Sunday. So just coaching and cheering. And
I'm a little bummed because I'm not going to really be able to watch Game 2 of the World Series that closely because we are going to the San Diego State-Washington State game tomorrow and tailgating, which is fun. Yeah. Yeah, we're going early.
What's early? Game's at what time?
7:30.
Oh, my God.
The plan is like 4 o'clock. Get down there, get a spot.
I think you'd be fine.
I think we'll find a spot.
I think you're good. I think you'd be.
Shell says she's probably going to make ribs, and we'll take out the mini grill to finish them off when we're there.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be some other appetizer dips and type items, and have a couple of drinks, and just sit out inside Snapdragon Stadium and get ready for the Aztecs and the Cougs tomorrow night. It's been a while since I've actually been to a football game as a fan.
Who are you rooting for?
You had to ask, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think she's asleep. I'll be cheering for San Diego State quietly.
Okay. Quietly.
Yes. But not like desperately. Washington State's 6-1. They're a decent team.
Good team.
They're already bowl eligible and doing pretty well this season. But I do think, even though the Aztecs are 14.5-point underdogs, they're coming off a bye, 2 straight wins, gotten a little healthier. They could make a game of this at home.
It's the spread's like
14.5.
14.5, yeah.
So obviously, I'm expecting, and not a bad thing, that she'll be happy, with her experience and her team will win. But it's not a guarantee. I do think that there's a potential for an upset. Washington State has a really good quarterback, dual threat. John Mateer has almost 2,000 passing yards and over 500 rushing yards. A lot of touchdowns both ways. I don't think San Diego State has faced the likes of him yet this season, and that will be a challenge for Sean Lewis's club tomorrow night.
Where are you sitting?
I really don't know Snapdragon Stadium well enough.
Have you been to a football game there?
I've been to the press box and watched a football game, but I haven't actually sat in the stands. So like the section numbers and stuff they're all pretty decent seats.
Yeah.
So
I've called
we're not like right down on the field or anything,
right.
But it's more like the Washington State, I think, kind of area of the wherever like up is, but it's not. You can't really. There's no giant nosebleeds at Snapdragon.
Well, 7:30 at night will be nice. The weather will be.
It won't be hot. I actually worry that it might get kind of chilly.
It will be.
In the evening.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have layers. Got to go with the layers tomorrow.
Which is weird to think about, but yes, you do. You will need layers.
Very foggy out there this morning.
Oh
like
my
walking
God.
through a cloud on my way in.
I had to slow to like 22 miles an hour on the freeway because I couldn't see the 52. I couldn't see it.
Be very careful.
Yeah, be very careful out there this morning. It's like Manchester, England out there
I almost
right now.
died this morning. There was an accident that had just happened. I didn't see the crash, but like the flashers were still on, and I saw all the cars in front of me start to like swerve and slam on the brakes. Everyone slams on their brakes from, the speed limit, of course, 65 to about 25. And then some guy he's like, nah, I'm just going to keep going around.
I got it
figured
figured out.
He weaved through like 8 cars doing 80, 90 miles an hour.
Very cool.
And I like, holy crap. It was like a jet flying by.
Very cool, buddy.
I'm like, hey, man, you see the flashers? You see the people standing in the fast lane because they're in an accident?
Hey,
maybe just chill out.
It's your fun day, dude. Do whatever you want, right?
God.
So you're going to miss a World Series game for
Well,
this.
I mean, I'll have it on my phone. And I
right,
can
that's
stream
fair.
it from the parking lot now, thanks to the
because the
marvels
games,
of modern
You'll
technology.
catch like the first 6.
games at 5.
Yeah, we don't have one of those giant like RV tailgate setups with a big screen TV, which would be cool
so
to
nice. But
put
you
the
don't-
game up. But
you
I'll
don't tailgate
I'll have it
enough.
on my phone. Yeah, I don't have tailgate enough to justify that. But
I haven't had a good tailgate in a long, long, long time. I'm a big, big fan of tailgating.
it is a fun.
It's a
fun
fun
activity.
It's a nightmare to put together.
Yeah, it's a nightmare to
It's
take
a
apart.
nightmare to take apart. But while you're in it, and you got your comfortable, you bring in a chair?
Yeah.
Okay. Bring a chair, and you just sit and listen
Little
to
table,
music, little
chair,
table, watch a
Cooler,
game.
food,
Yeah.
little barbecue.
Pretty elite.
That's it. The worst part of the tailgate, of course, is after you then pack it all up, you put it in the car, you go to the game, you get home, and everything is just
Your car reeks.
well, yes, and every dish is like been sitting there for hours and hours because you can't do
can't
the
wash
dishes.
it.
So all the the dips and the barbecue sauces have just like
Congealed.
absolutely hardened on everything that you brought.
Get yourself some of that.
The toss away.
Get yourself some of that top of the dip skin. Just pull it straight off and just right into your mouth. Or some of that barbecue lard that accumulates at the top.
The separation of the layers.
The the dark black top of the guacamole every time. Just so good. Every single time.
Yeah, there's a different kind of nastiness of the tailgate remnants at the end of the night.
When you stagger back to the tailgate after the game and the guac's sitting there and it's that weird shade of gray and brown, you're like, fine, I'll just stir this up a
The last
little.
thing you want to do, you get home at 11:30 or whatever it is at night, and you're exhausted. It's not like you're going to do the dishes then either. So then they're going to sit all night. And then you wake up on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and you just got this pile going, I got to tackle this now. Oh,
all right, I think maybe we've just figured
Is there
out
someone on the internet that I can hire
Yes!
to come do that?
Yes.
Maybe I'll look into that.
I think what we've just discovered by talking through it is that tailgating is massively overrated. I think you can go inside, get food there, get drinks there, whatever you need, and then you can throw it away and you wash your hands of it.
We got to the point where my tailgates just consisted of filling a cooler with drinks. That's the easy part.
Sure.
Fill it
Chips.
with ice. Honestly, we just hit like the taco shop on the way.
And bring
just
your food there.
Throw all the trash in the trash
Pre-made
can.
burritos.
Very smart,
Nobody's
dude.
upset about that. You still can play, cornhole and set up the chairs, and then you get the drinks. It eliminates a lot of the mess. Now, it may not be as much of a full menu as
Sure.
it could be, but, bro, if all you're looking for is just a nice burrito or something, pizza, whatever, just bring it with you.
You want to tailgate ever, you go tailgate with my dad, who's never, he
I
loves
have
to
tailgated with your dad.
Have you?
The Navy Notre Dame game at the Q like 6 years ago.
Now, my dad is an elite tailgater. He's never actually put together a tailgate, though. Never once has he actually brought his own stuff to a tailgate. He did. He has taken stuff from a tailgate, which was my favorite part. Him walking away with a bag of shrimp from the Notre Dame tailgate. One of my lasting core memories of being in my 20s. He's listening right now. I love you, Dad. Don't
Love you,
ever
Dad.
change. Don't ever change.
All right, mixed feelings on the tailgates. That's what I got coming up this weekend. Coming up on our show today, obviously looking ahead to Game 1 of the World Series. Do you want to talk about the controversy from last night's Thursday night football game? Did you see the non-call of the face mask penalty that pretty much ended the game for the Minnesota Vikings?
Everybody saw it except the referees.
Yeah. But what can you do about it, if anything?
Nothing.
I mean, a lot of people think that should be reviewable.
Potentially, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah. Also,
It was just bad look for the NFL last
yeah, it
night.
is also, but did it really cost them the game?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, they had a chance to go down, score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, and force overtime. It's not impossible to do that.
fair
The odds were against them.
Paige Spearnack may text me today. You never know. It could happen.
It's not like they're an 0-7 team. They're a 5-1 team. I mean,
5-2
Sam
now.
Darnold's played well this year. Anyway, we can talk about that. Take on Woods, DDT in our 7 o'clock hour. At 8 o'clock, Jake Mintz will join us from Cespedes Family Barbecue. He's been here all season long. Why not? For Game 1 of the World Series. We'll talk to him at 8 o'clock. And then Reindl Report and get you ready for Andy and Elston at 10 o'clock. It's a pretty simple menu for the program today, just like it'll be a simple menu for the tailgate tomorrow. Probably not that simple. All right, we'll come back and start our baseball discussion with Game 1 of the World Series tonight. And I know we all kind of in our own feelings about this matchup. Coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I will say that the Dodgers have made some head-scratching decisions throughout the playoffs that have worked out really well for the team so far, and I feel like another one is on tap tonight in Game 1 of the World Series. Jack Flaherty was chosen as their Game 1 starter, and yet even yesterday you had pitching coach Mark Pryor saying they are legitimately concerned in the organization about Jack Flaherty's drop in velocity. Like, that's not a fake concern. He acknowledged that, yeah, we got some worries about this.
He said that at Media Day?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Was talked to by reporters, and when they were asked about, hey, he had been in the 94 range, kind of dipped down to the more 92. Is that a concern? And he said, yeah, that's a real concern that we have. Moderately concerned about Jack Flaherty.
I thought he was sick. That's why he dipped.
Yeah, but so if you're, I'm not saying you can get through the series without him, but you have set him up now to more likely pitch 2 games because he's going in Game 1.
Even maybe 3.
Even maybe 3 if you need him. Why are you doing that then? If he's the guy you're concerned about, does that mean you're even more concerned about Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Walker Buehler? You could have gone with literally anyone. Everyone is on enough rest.
Oh, yeah.
That they could have picked whoever they wanted to start the game tonight in Game 1. And they settled on Jack Flaherty.
I would say it's a curious move. I think we were all curious about it, but I think Jay nails it. I think they're lying. Is a really good way to.
That is often true.
Here's
what Mark Pryor said. Obviously, everybody knows the more velocity, the better, usually, unless you're going way below hitting speed. Concern, yeah, because obviously he was pitching on regular rest and it was a little bit down. Can he pitch with it? Yeah, he's somebody who more about execution than anything. I think he did a really good job of game planning the second time through.
Sure.
But I mean, clearly, they're worried about his drop in velocity. He says it's not injury related, but they're going with him.
Yeah, and again, you say they have multiple choices, and they do. They could go with Yamamoto. They could absolutely go with Buehler as well. No, without even hesitation. But
you could even go bullpen game in Game 1 if you wanted.
If you wanted to. But you're going to have to use him at some point. So I don't know.
Correct.
That his velo to I think if I'm Dave Roberts and that's a legitimate concern and I'm not doing my gamesmanship bit that I've been doing all throughout the playoffs, don't you kind of want to do it in Game 1 and not Game 3 when you potentially could be down 2-0, or you know what I mean? Let's do it now. Let's see what he's got. Let's see if we can get through the order once or twice and see what happens. I think you probably do it Game 1 and then you adjust from there. I think it's probably the right move if it's a legitimate concern. Will it surprise anyone if Jack Flaherty comes out tonight throwing 96? No, it won't, because that's what the Dodgers have been doing all, the entire postseason is gamesmanship and, we're not sure about this, not sure about that, and it won't surprise me a bit.
I think we both agreed yesterday, though, the path for the Yankees winning the World Series almost definitely includes winning Game 1 tonight.
Winning with your
Garrett
ace.
Cole on the mound against a guy that even the Dodgers are admittedly, we'll see, how it goes. If you can't get that one, which ones are you going to get then the rest of the series? So it's just one of the issues going into the series tonight. Obviously, we have litigated and relitigated the Juan Soto trade many times, and ultimately I think we've all agreed it was a win for both organizations, what they both needed at the time. There is something that we haven't really discussed that involves the Padres and the Yankees, though, and will have a huge impact on this World Series. And I want to get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
This traffic report is driven by Kearney Mesa Volkswagen. Guys, continues to be a pretty uneventful ride on our road. Start to see the usual slowing in the usual spots. Yeah, we're looking at you westbound side of the 52 heading out of Santee. Also seeing some brake lights on northbound side of the 5. Pretty much heading through the National City area. On the streets of San Diego in the spacious 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan 2.0 S front-wheel drive for only $239 a month. Perfect for families or your creature crew. Kearney Mesa Volkswagen, your local veteran-owned dealership. For more details about this offer, head to KearneyMesaVolkswagen.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So, of course, seeing the very simplistic take, well, the Yankees got further in the playoffs than the Padres, so they've won the Juan Soto trade. I do not subscribe to that because I don't think that if the Padres had kept Juan Soto, if salary was not a consideration, that they would have been necessarily better off. This team would have been better with Juan Soto, but without Michael King and Dylan Cease and Kyle Higashioka and Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito. I think the Padres were a better version of the Padres having traded Juan Soto than they would have been having kept Juan Soto. Do you agree with that? You had to get a lot of things right, but they did. They got enough production out of the guys that they picked up for Juan Soto.
Yeah, they did.
That made it a win for the Padres.
Boy, it doesn't mean I don't miss watching Juan Soto play.
Of course not.
I mean,
of course
it's
not.
it's kind of a double-edged sword.
And it doesn't mean it wasn't a huge win for the Yankees as well.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're in the World Series, chance to win it all, and Soto's had a monster season for them. I'm sure they consider it a big win from their perspective. And you can debate that one as much as you want. The one that I keep going back to, though, and keep thinking over and over again, is not from this offseason. It was from a couple of years ago when the Padres made a record offer to Aaron Judge before ending up signing Xander Bogaerts. And really, they made the best offer. Aaron Judge admitted they made the best offer, but ultimately accepted less to return to the New York Yankees. And perhaps that was the right decision for Aaron Judge ultimately as well. It certainly played out pretty well for him.
Yeah,
but
I'd say so.
I certainly do wonder how the landscape of baseball would be different if Aaron Judge had decided, yes, you know what? I want to play at Petco Park. They're offering me this gigantic deal. I mean, what are the dominoes in your mind? First of all, Padres don't sign Xander Bogaerts. So Aaron Judge is probably playing center field. Does Jackson Merrill come up and just play shortstop this year? And are the Padres in the World Series now? I mean, Aaron Judge would be taking up a massive amount of payroll space.
He would.
I don't think that would change anything about their financial situation. Peter Seidler passing, all those issues would still be present, even with Aaron Judge. But you'd feel pretty good if you had Aaron Judge on your team, and you wonder where would the Yankees be if they didn't have Aaron Judge at this point.
Cooked. Yeah. They'd be cooked. He's an MVP. So, yeah, I think, you wouldn't have traded Soto, right? I mean, I think, I don't know. We've had a lot of guys that have come through here and near misses.
I don't know. You might have still had to have traded.
Yeah, you might have.
Juan Soto.
You might have.
Especially because
afford...
you would be paying more to Judge than you are to Xander Bogaerts.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to get under the luxury tax. You might have had to trade more players than just Juan Soto to get back under the luxury tax if you had Aaron Judge on your roster.
Tevin wants to know why we are talking what ifs. Welcome to the off season, my friend. This is what you do in the off season. You kick things around and just shoot the breeze. So I watched a clip yesterday. Mookie had Aaron Judge on his podcast, of course, before this series, and he basically said it was always New York. It was always going to be New York. Yeah, it's part of the business. We tried to get the extension done. I hit free agency. He said it was massively, extremely stressful. I hated it, but it was always going to be New York. So, yeah, I think that's why he took less money. He's the captain of the team, and he plays in New York and is going to win an MVP, and now he's in the World Series. Worked out pretty well for everyone. Worked out well for Juan Soto. His offseason is going to be massively interesting because I don't know how you let that guy go to a fourth team at 25 years old, which would be insane. That would be his fourth team, and he's 25. So, yeah, he kind of always had it in his mind he was going to go back to New York. That's what he wanted to do, and they made it work.
All right. Again, yes, it's kind of a silly hypothetical, but it was real decisions that were made by both organizations and by Aaron Judge that have had a huge impact on this season and now this World Series in particular.
Well, I mean, look, and the Yankees went, that's as all in as you can go on a rental. What they gave up for Aaron Judge or for Juan Soto, they went as all in as they could, and it paid off for them. And it paid off for us. I know we didn't reach the ultimate goal, and I'm still disappointed about that, certainly, but it definitely paid off for us as well. We got some great players out of it, and hopefully a couple of guys that are going to be here for a while.
Meanwhile, there's one guy who really can't lose this World Series, and he's a name that should be fairly familiar to Padres fans. And I didn't even realize this, but The Athletic did a piece. So Taylor Trammell, former Padres prospect, was traded to the Seattle Mariners, but they let him go. Actually has played for both the Dodgers and the Yankees this season. He had just one game with the Dodgers and just like 5 of them with the Yankees earlier this season. No, 5 for the Dodgers earlier this season. Then he was picked up by the Yankees later. He wasn't on the playoff roster, but he's on the team, which means he's eligible for a World Series ring no matter what happens.
It's a win-win for him.
Kind of. I mean, if you consider not really contributing to a team but getting a World Series as a win out of it.
I would take the ring gladly.
I mean, if the alternative is not having a ring, sure, I guess.
What a position to be in, though. That either team wins, you're getting a ring. It's either going to have a big old NY on it, or it's going to have a giant LA on it, emblazoned in diamonds and sapphires and everything else. Like I'm sold.
It's funny though because there are a lot of players who win World Series rings that really didn't do much to deserve them. And Sam Blum from The Athletic actually went and found one of them in this piece. Pitcher Jalen Beeks, who was part of the 2018 Red Sox team.
What a quote.
And won a championship ring. And yes, he said, so in this piece, they talked about, so his stat line for the Red Sox, 2 disastrous appearances, 9 earned runs, 6 1/3 innings, and then was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. He then pitched against the Red Sox and pitched well against them that season. And he said, it's hilarious. I cost them like 4 games that year. I didn't help them at all. I don't know, man. It's an interesting twist on it. I wish I could tell you my World Series ring left me with some sort of deep connection. It's so funny that there are so many players out there who, you're part of the organization. He literally admits, I not only didn't help the team, I hurt the team by pitching badly for them and well against them during the year. They won the World Series in spite of me. Yet I get a World Series ring because, I was on the team that year.
That's fantastic, man. Fantastic. That's like some really next-level self-awareness on Jordan Beeks? Jalen Beeks. Jalen Beeks. That is some really good self-awareness there from him. And I kind of see where he's coming from. And 5 games with both teams. It's weird. It's a weird one. I mean, if you obviously take it if they give it to you, but I don't know that you can go waving it around,
That's what it comes down for me. Like in 30 years, when he's got grandchildren or whatever, is that
Check
like
this,
is
Sonny.
that the one where he's like, yeah, and that's my World Series.
My World
ring.
Series ring.
I actually lost because if the Dodgers win, he's like, I actually lost, but I did have 6 at bats for the Dodgers back in April.
Sam Blum goes and finds some other guys too. You remember Sean Kazmar was a Padre. Back in the a little bit in the
Kazmar?
2010s, Sean Kazmar.
You're thinking of Scott Kazmir.
Kazmar. Sean Kazmar Jr. made a cameo for the 2021 Braves. Was there at spring training, then retired, but he says, I went out a World Series champion. I didn't do anything for that team the whole year, but I got to end my career as a World Series champion. Another former Padre who did it, Dusty Coleman, went hitless in 5 at-bats for the 2015 Kansas City Royals, yet because of that, has a World Series championship ring from that year.
0 for 5 gets you a ring.
He actually appeared in 27 games for the 2017 Padres.
They should give you like a pendant or something.
Something
or like
different.
A pin.
Yeah.
Like a little pin.
I won the World Series.
I played 5 games.
One of those stickers.
Yeah,
Hello,
sticker.
I won the World Series.
Like I voted. That's so good.
All right, take on Woods and Thursday Night Football controversy next on The Fan. Couple more random World Series rings winners. This is a fascinating piece. Former Padre Trevor Rosenthal had a 22 ERA for the Washington Nationals in 2019. Congratulations on your World Series ring. I mean, guys who don't have one. Tony Gwynn.
Mike Trout. Ted Williams.
Ken
Griffey Jr. Barry Bonds.
Jesus, dude. Like the goats of the goats. Like the goats of... You can't say the goats of all time.
The greatest of all time of all time.
The greatest of all time of all time. The goats of the goat.
But Taylor Trammell is going to have one at the end of this World Series.
I mean, it's wild. It is just wild to think about that. And did they ask him how he feels about it?
They did.
That's a great feeling going into it, just putting your feet up going, I'm getting one either way. I'll either surf or ski.
Yeah, he seems like okay with it. He says it's, let's see, where is it? I get a ring now, and that's just a cool thing to say. For me, this is so awesome because I can say I'm a World Series champion now.
I think, I mean, it's all personal feeling. I would want to contribute at some level, and going 0 for 5 isn't really a contribution other than maybe you played some defense that day, got a guy off his feet or something. I have no idea, man.
When I saw this story, the first thing that came to mind, and I know it's not the right comparison, but like, say the Padres win it all in 2025.
Right.
Joe Musgrove.
Yeah.
He will not throw a single pitch.
Yeah.
He will contribute almost nothing to the World Series run next year.
As far as games played on the field, none.
Now, he's a bad example because obviously Joe has put in the work. But
100%.
Take another pitcher that's on the roster that has Tommy John and misses an entire year. How does that person really feel about that ring?
I mean, look, I think knowing Joe just even a little bit, as happy as he would be to be part of the team that got the first World Series championship to San Diego.
I know Joe wouldn't appreciate it as much.
He would be like, it would be gritting his teeth, but he'd be elated also because it's his hometown team that he's pitched a no-hitter for. And
guy grew up here. Like you just said, he has put in the work. He has laid his roots down here as a Padre.
He's a Padre.
But take another guy that you got on a 2-year deal, and you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be there. That's the guy that gets the ring, and he's like, they won.
Yeah.
They won.
Yeah, Joe's a bad example just because he's absolutely earned one as a Padre. He's earned it. And even though he didn't help you get it, it would kill him too. Trust me. He would not want that. He would want a ring, but he would not, if he had his way, he'd want to be pitching Game 7.
A better example would be like an injured player. Like, let's say Hassan Kim signs with the Giants next year, but never recovers from his surgery. Has never played an inning for the team in his life.
Right. And they win a ring. But he gets one. Yeah.
It's like, that would be kind of the weird example.
And we don't know because we're not part of that fraternity. I'm sure if Tony Gwynn Jr. was listening right now, he's probably screaming at his radio. You know what I mean? Like, we're not in that fraternity. We don't know what it means.
So we're asking the questions.
Just asking the questions here. Yeah, we're not judging anybody. Right. But I think, knowing Joe Musgrove, he would be like, okay, yes, thanks so much. But Joe wants the ball in Game 7. Like it's a different thing. But he's also earned his stripes there, certainly. Oh, this is a good point, Jay. I remember Jack Haley. Jack Haley got an NBA ring for literally being Dennis Rodman's keeper.
Which I think was a valuable skill.
Honestly,
on that team.
You're right. You're right. I was in Chicago at that time.
I mean, coaches get rings. He was kind of, in a way, a coach on that team.
How many minutes did that guy play? How many minutes did he play in at most in a season?
I mean, coaches get rings. Trainers get rings. We all think they contribute. Why does a player who may not be playing, he may contribute in other ways as well, just as much as a staffer or a coach does?
I had completely forgotten that Jack Haley existed back in the day in Chicago. I mean, it was just nuts. He averaged 9.6 minutes in his career, but back in those days in Chicago.
It's only 1 year.
1 year.
He played in one game.
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
You saw a lot of him on the bench, though. I felt like
they
during that
panned
season.
to
They
him
cut
a
a lot on the bench.
That's so good.
Reaction shots. He was the guy. For reaction
Steve
shots.
makes
Scored 5 points.
Steve makes a good point here. Hypothetically, Joe should be proud knowing he helped lay the groundwork over the years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a groundwork guy for sure.
I was talking more about the situation than the specific player.
Yep.
Mark Madsen on the Lakers was that guy. Reaction shot guy who won a
Was that him?
championship.
God,
Yeah,
I'd be
he
so
was the
good.
guy.
I'd be so good at being the last man on the bench in the NBA. I would be elite at it. Just the best. Glue guy. Let's go. Firing everybody up. Oh, so good. What a gig.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods. A great prize today. We've got another pair of tickets to the sold-out Dia de los Deftones at Petco Park on November 2nd.
Oh, my God.
Coming up, Woodsy will be there.
Oh.
But if you want to win them, you got to beat or tie Woods and Take on Woods in a couple of minutes. So call in for your chance to take on the champ. 833-288-0973.
I actually want you guys to beat me so you get to go
You
to
gonna throw
this.
it?
I won't throw it, but, man, it's just such a good
Well, if you
show.
win,
I know,
it goes,
we'll give it away.
It goes out for everybody else later. So
It's just such a great night.
all right,
It's just so special.
833-288-0973. Quickly, Thursday Night Football will be probably most talked about for the play at the end of the game, the safety that was a clear face mask penalty on Byron Young of the Rams, but it was not called, and there's no reviews on face mask penalties. So that was 2 points, and it made it 30-20, and the Rams won the game. There was an outcry going, why can't you review that call? Something so obvious. What happened to the Sky Judge? Why can't you do that? And while, yes, they got it completely wrong, and officials have to be better. The example I used is you can't simply say because there was a penalty and you got it wrong that you should be able to review every single play. Because, but what if they had missed a holding, call in the end zone? Does that mean you can review that play then because it was a scoring play on a safety or if the officials missed the call, they missed the call.
Yeah.
And there's not much you can do about it. You can't review pass interference. You can't if you want to open Pandora's box to reviewing every play, every possible penalty.
Yeah, but if they
NFL
miss
games
other
will take
calls,
5
you can
hours.
have them review them. Like maybe it
No,
needs to
you
be a
can't.
rule-
You can't really review a missed call. You can review a flag.
A flag.
A wrong, yeah, and then they can go back and look at it. But if you don't make the call, you can't all of a sudden then, hey, can we just take a look at that whole play and make sure no one committed a penalty on that play? Because I think someone did.
Yeah.
What if
if you're looking for one, you'll probably
find one.
Yeah.
All right, what if they made a rule within the last 2 minutes of each half, any potential scoring play or any play within the red zone, like something that matters is reviewable?
Again, everything matters in a close game in the last 2 minutes. So you'd be reviewing. Why
but
wouldn't
you're not
you review
reviewing the
every
pass
single
when they're
play?
on their own 30, but the pass where they're like on their own 5 and trying to get into the end zone? Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to come
I
up with
know
a
you're
solution
trying
here.
to fix it, and it seems like it should be a really easy fix. But I don't think you can without, if you have to actually write down a rule, it will be exploited by teams that are looking for an edge, which means they will use it inappropriately to try to gain an edge. Oh no, there was clearly a holding on that play that you didn't call,
Well,
and since
people
we're
are
inside
already
the 20,
trying to get an edge by face masking and getting away with it.
no. I mean, he didn't even try to get away with it. He clearly knew he face masked. I mean, you might as well just have the honesty system and go.
The honesty system. I
Did you
did
do it? I did it.
Yes, I
I did it. It was a face mask.
George Washington over here. No, there is an eye in the sky, right? Somebody could absolutely, hey, face mask.
You
face
could.
mask 0, right?
But then why didn't you do it on the play before for a different
there
call?
wasn't a face mask.
Well, yeah, but there was probably a holding that wasn't called.
Okay,
There's
let's
a
talk
holding
about
like on every
something
play.
massively egregious, right? And that was a massively egregious
How do you
play.
define massively egregious?
When a guy's head gets ripped around 180 degrees, I'd say is fairly egregious. I thought Sam Darnold handled it really well after the game. He said, look, it is what it is. I thought we could have done a lot to not put ourselves in that situation. So we got to continue to play better, not
All
put
right,
ourselves in that situation.
it's a scoring play. Roberto says it should be reviewed on a scoring play.
Yeah, the safety.
All right, so if someone catches a touchdown and there's no penalty called, should the defense be able to say, "Hey, it was a scoring play. I think the left tackle
There was hands to the face.
Yeah,
held on that play."
And it costs you a challenge if they review it, and in fact, you wasted everybody's time and there was no penalty.
Yeah, but I mean, there probably was because there are uncalled penalties on every single play.
Stop cheating then.
That's just not how it works in football. Okay, the offense, the offensive receiver pushed off a little bit, which happens on almost every play.
Yep.
If you review it and you're telling the sky judge, did he do it? Well, yeah, he did.
They did it.
But we didn't call it in the course of the play because that's, we don't feel like it made a big deal. But on replay, of course, it clearly he pushed. So do you take the touchdown away?
Look, it's the same thing in baseball. You can't foul balls and stuff. Why can I not look down the line and see if that got chalk? Right? It's just dumb. That's an easy one to do. That last night was an easy one. It's an easy one to. It's not even. That call's not even it's hard to miss that call. That's the weird part. Two guys are responsible for that, and both of them were, quote unquote, blocked. If you have eyes on the quarterback, you cannot miss that call. Yeah. You can't. It's almost impossible to miss that call.
Should there be one final official?
The head guy, Oz.
Who is watching the game on television, who can't be blocked because he's got every camera angle, and he just goes, penalty. And just yells it down, drop a flag. Someone drop a flag. And then I'll tell you what it was at the end of the play. Someone drop a flag.
Yeah.
Because you missed it, and I will tell you now what the penalty is. It was egregious. I saw it. You missed it. Let's call this and get it right.
Every sport can do better with this. Every sport can do better.
So anyway, big win for the Rams, though. Who
huge.
3 days ago, they were talking maybe Cooper Kupp's going to get traded. All of a sudden, he comes back. Puka Nacua comes back. Surprise!
Matthew
it's a huge
Stafford's
game.
Lighting it up.
And now, they're just 3-4, but that division is very mid right now. I think it's the Seahawks at 4-3. Every other team is 3-4. So the Rams are right back in the middle of it and looking pretty good after that game last night.
Paulie and I both had the Vikings as our lock last night, so that didn't go very well.
Short week on the road. That was an unforced error by you guys.
That was. It's all right.
Short week on the road.
That happens.
All right, we got some contestants calling in. Let's get to it. It is time for Take on Woods. Take on Woods brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Let's go to Alfredo. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, Alfredo. Good morning to you. Good luck. You're going for those Dia de los Deftones tickets at Petco Park on November 2nd. The show also featuring the Idols, Paris, Texas, and more. You get to choose our category. We got one of those that's becoming kind of a nuclear option on the chessboard, still sitting there.
Oh, boy.
Chess pieces represented in those questions. Blank Like Blank, 5 song titles that feature phrases connected by the word like. And our new category, W, 5 bands with one-word names that start with W. So on the chessboard, Blank Like Blank or W. Alfredo, what do you want to play?
W.
W. All right, another new category off the board today. Yeah, 5 bands, again, just one-word band names, and they all start with W. You have 60 seconds. Pass if you don't know one. First question is the 2-second song. Paulie will play you a song by a band that starts with W. You need to give me both the song title and the band name. For that point, the rest of them just the one-word band names. Alfredo, you ready to play?
Yes.
All right, let's put the 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paulie plays the music. The category W. Good luck, Alfredo. Let's take on Woods.
Buddy Holly Weezer.
Correct. David Coverdale left Deep Purple and formed which band famous for 80s hits Here I Go Again and Is This Love?
Pass.
Andrew Ridgeley and George Michael teamed up to form which 80s English pop duo?
Wham.
Correct. Which 70s band from California had hits including Why Can't We Be Friends, but are most famous for a song about a car that begins with tapping on a cowbell?
Pass.
With songs like I Might and You Never Know, which modern rock band from Chicago is named after military shorthand for heard, understood?
Pass.
David Coverdale left Deep Purple and formed which band famous for 80s hits Here I Go Again and Is This Love?
Whitesnake.
Correct. Which 70s band from California had hits including Why Can't We Be Friends?
War.
Oh, and he snuck it out at the end.
Yeah.
So that's 4. That might be good enough. You got Buddy Holly by Weezer. Whitesnake, Wham, War, most famous for Lowrider. That's the cowbell tapping song. The one you didn't get, heard, understood, military shorthand, Wilco. I don't know if Woods will know that one or not. I think he will.
I think he will.
Could be a 5-4. We will find out. All right, Alfredo's score is locked in.
What you asking here?
I thought I saw like a half-ass wave. I wasn't sure, so.
It's fine. All right, Woodsy doesn't get the category. Score to beat is set. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Alfredo.
Buddy Holly, Weezer.
Correct. David Coverdale left Deep Purple and formed which band?
Whitesnake.
Correct. Andrew Ridgeley and George Michael teamed up to form which 80s?
Wham.
Correct. Which 70s band from California had hits including Why Can't We Be Friends, but are most famous for...
War.
Correct. With songs like I Might and You Never Know, which modern rock band from Chicago is named after military shorthand for heard?
Wilco.
Understood. Yeah,
Told you.
5-4. That was it. Alfredo, good try.
Sorry about
But the master has spoken today in the category of
W's.
W. Yeah.
W.
One-word bands starting with W.
Some great ones in there, man.
Unfortunately, Alfredo's loss could be your
Yes,
win.
we
Yes,
will,
could be
we
your
will
game.
give away those Deftones, Dia de los Deftones tickets later on in the program.
What is that? Shows the second. Oh,
Like next
Next
week.
Saturday. It's a week from tomorrow.
very excited.
All right, we'll come back. Don't Do This is next.
We have to talk about the umpires that are going to be working the World Series.
All right, I
This
saw
is-
you guys bringing this up yesterday.
And I know you have a explanation for it, but it still doesn't make any sense to me
All right,
at all.
we'll-
And I actually reached out to a friend of the program for an explanation.
I'm curious now. Okay.
Yeah, Jesse Agler and I were texting about this yesterday, and he gave me his excuse, but I still don't buy it.
All right, that is coming up next after Kelly's Traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
A little DDT on a Friday. Let's see. I want to start with an update on a DDT story from earlier this week. The 2-game PED suspension for the Detroit Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams, who's had a checkered career, to say the least, already.
Gambling?
Gambling. PEDs. Something else, wasn't there? Paulie did that story earlier this week. Yeah. So he released the statement. We've seen many of these statements over the years of, I didn't know that it was in this cream, or I didn't know that the supplement was tainted. Lots of different excuses that have been offered by athletes after they have been suspended. I thought this one was a different tactic, and he's going to go with the full denial. This week, I was notified by the NFL that I have been suspended for a violation of the performance-enhancing substances policy. The news came as a complete surprise that I am still trying to understand. I don't take supplements or vitamins, and I am overly cautious about even taking over-the-counter medicine. At no time have I ever taken something in an attempt to cheat or look for an unfair advantage. I understand that I am responsible for everything that goes into my body, and I have to take accountability in this instance. And then he continues, nothing but love and respect, yada, yada. So he's basically saying, I have zero clue whatsoever how it happened.
Tough to find something in a supplement or a vitamin or a shake if you don't take any of
them.
those.
Yeah.
Which is why.
So either he is boldly lying.
Right.
And is juicing on purpose or is taking supplements and doesn't want you to know about it. Or in this case, I almost feel like genuinely bad. Like, feels like that could happen to anyone. Like,
bad tests.
I really haven't taken anything. I have no idea how this could have gotten into my system, and yet I have to suffer the consequences for it.
And the thing is I'm not super up to code with what is and isn't considered in the NFL, a performance enhancing
It's incredibly
drug.
complicated, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. It's massively complicated. Major League Baseball is a little bit different. But the funny thing is, man, people that are looking for an edge, usually they are one step ahead. Usually, I mean, there's usually ways around it, and for everyone that gets caught, Benny, there's probably 10, 12, 15, 20 that don't. So interesting case. So is he going? I would then assume if you're telling me I failed it because of X and I don't take this,
you could appeal, but what would be your? You have no argument. You I don't know what it was.
Yeah, because we don't.
Idea.
And we don't know what he got popped for.
There's
either.
pretty much a 0%, leeway on it.
Yeah.
The test says what the test says.
Yeah.
Unless you can prove basically someone came at you with a needle, and you've got it on video that they attacked you with steroids.
Big shot of testosterone right into me. I have no idea what happened, but I will do everything I can to get.
I was at the airport.
Yeah,
we got
some
security
guy.
footage. This guy just came at me with a hypodermic needle and stabbed me in the arm.
All I know is my recovery's been great. I feel 10 years younger.
That's like a movie plot. Guy wants to get his. The opposing team star athlete out for the year.
Takes him out for drinks and just
spikes his
stuff.
It's kind of creepy sounding.
All right, so this doesn't make any sense to me, but yesterday, Umpire Auditor, which is a great Twitter account if you don't like umpires, it's great. They announced the World Series umpires, and it's I think it's the Dish. That's who they have on the Dish, right? Game 1 will be Carlos Torres, who is ranked 32 of 90 umpires. This is his first World Series.
Who is doing the rankings? Because I know that
I think Umpire Auditor does.
Right, but that's not Major League Baseball's system. Major League Baseball says that they pick what they believe are the best umpires for the World Series.
Well, so
this obviously isn't their ranking system.
So this is they take every call, right?
Right.
And they measure the accuracy, and they send out the scorecards, and they audit all the umpires.
Yeah, that's not the only measure of a good umpire.
But just listen to these numbers. So, again, we're talking the plate, if you're working the plate. So Carlos Torres is behind the dish tonight. It's his first World Series game. He's ranked 32 out of 90. Andy Fletcher will be at Game 2 behind the dish. He is ranked 73rd. Mark Carlson, Game 3, is ranked 49th. Doug Eddings has the dish in a World Series Game 4. Doug Eddings. Mark Rippinger, good umpire, 18th. He is the highest-ranked umpire that Umpire Auditor has, 18th. So 1 through 17 left off. Chad Fairchild, 37th, will work Game 6 if needed. And Game 7, Todd Tishner, ranked 24th as needed. So I texted Jesse Agler yesterday, and I said, so what am I missing here? I need somebody smarter than me to explain this to me. And Jesse said, my only thing would be they obviously don't weigh balls and strikes heavily at all when making selections. Obviously, one game behind the dish, the rest on the field. I would say, too, if you look at postseason, the guys have generally been much better with balls and strikes than their averages have said during the regular season. I said, yeah, that's absolutely true. He said, it is a weird look. I can't, it's hard when you have the rankings and you're like, 1 through 17, you guys are out. The number one best umpire behind the dish is not working one single game in the World Series or one game behind the plate. The best guy at calling balls and strikes, you're out. Number 2, you're done. Number 3, you're out. 4, and so on.
Well, the best guy had been Pat Hoberg, but then he got involved in
gambling.
The gambling thing. So I don't know that you can put him back behind the plate for a World Series game this year.
I'm telling you, man, watch it. Game 4 is must-see
Do
TV.
they?
Doug
Maybe
Eddings.
I don't know if you asked Jesse about this. Do they try to keep crews together though? Because
I don't know.
They're used to working with each other. Or are they completely all-star crews once you get to the postseason and the World Series? Because like in the NFL, they keep mostly, I think, the crews together. Like the best rated crew gets the Super Bowl,
That's
but they
fine.
don't. Because,
But it better be the best rated.
I mean, I guess in baseball, you're not really relying on other umpires for anything. You're simply your own person.
Jay in the chat says, I'd rather have Lieutenant Frank Drebin behind the plate than Doug Eddings.
Enrico Palazzo?
It's the greatest scene in any movie. It's just the best. There's just nothing like that. Doug Eddings, Game 4 in New York, must-see TV. If you weren't going to watch the World Series, you now have a reason. 1 through 17, left off. 1 through 17. It's crazy to me. Crazy.
All right, finally, I think you'll like this one. I'm going to give a do this
DD mega doo-doo.
to Bill Belichick, who is standing up for his new girlfriend. Now, you remember his new girlfriend, the one he met on the plane, who was a cheerleader?
College 21?
Yeah.
She's 24.
She's now 24. Jordan Hudson
That makes it better.
is her name. But Jordan Hudson found herself in the crosshairs of a New England area radio show, Kiss 108's Billy and Lisa in the Morning, where one of the hosts, Winnie Akuri, started trashing her for being just a Division III cheerleader.
Oh. I thought it was going to be for dating an elderly man.
No. She said, it's not even like competition level. I could have been a Bridgewater State cheerleader. Do we have any of the audio here?
I think so.
Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson.
Jordan.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about her. She's a cheerleader, former cheerleader.
Former.
And, she's dating Bill.
Yeah.
She's 49 years older. That's kind of the story. We've been talking about it.
Yeah.
And Winnie made some comments on the show on Monday about Jordan and her cheerleading career. Let me play that for you real quick here.
She was Bridgewater State's cheerleader, which is Division III,
can
which
picture
isn't
her.
even like competition level. I could have been a Bridgewater State cheerleader.
So, if you're a regular listener of the Billy and Lisa show, Winnie, she likes to pop off
Yeah.
at the mouth. And, well,
do
Jordan
all
was
day.
listening, or someone that knows Jordan
Yes.
was listening, and she posted a picture of her pointing a championship ring at the camera. And she wrote, "At Winnie's World, I would like to extend an invitation for you to attend the winter tryout for the 8-time national champion cheerleading program at BSU Cheerleading." And
Got to know your stuff.
You
If you're
better
gonna
know
come
your
at 'em.
stuff.
And then Bill posted on, I think, Instagram, picture of him wearing the national championship Bridgewater State University cheerleading T-shirt.
Yeah, he's going to bat for
He's got his girl. He's got her
lady.
back.
They're a nice couple.
It is surprising because you wouldn't, with a 50-year age difference, it seems creepy, but they actually seem like
I've seen
a nice
pictures
couple.
of them out and about, and it like a nice father and daughter.
It doesn't seem creepy.
Grandfather
It is
and
creepy.
granddaughter? I know.
If they're happy, power to them.
More power to
but
them.
it doesn't seem creepy. It is creepy. 48-year difference.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I'm repulsed.
And that's don't and do this for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The
Any
Fan.
chance
be
to
like-
see Woods' reaction to Boston accents? though?
Side note,
It would be you at 72 marrying somebody that was born last year.
I don't want to think about it.
There you go.
Disgusts me so
There you
much. Paulie, how do we loop in to their show and just play their show on the air and react to it, I don't know, every day until spring training? Because I want to do that. That's good radio. I just want to listen to them again and mock
gotta
all their,
do-
not mock, but copy their words.
I got to do some more research on Kiss 108.
Billy and
FM.
Lisa featuring Winnie
Winnie,
popping off in the
Jordan,
morning.
popping off. I love it. I love it so
Friggin'
much.
Jordan.
You're running your mouth again. I could picture what Winnie looks like. If you've ever seen Good Will Hunting, the girls in the bar, that's what I pictured. Right?
I'll show you
All right, show
during
me
the
a picture.
commercial break.
All right.
We will come back. We had a gold member stream last night.
We did. It was a lot of fun.
We usually keep everything private, but the topic did turn to something in the current events spectrum that
Pretty
I know you
major
guys
news.
wanted to bring up. So we'll do that next here on 97.3 The Fan. I want to apologize because yesterday, we were talking about some of the features at the new Intuit Dome for the Clippers, and I left one out that Woods was raving about this morning.
Looked incredible. It's the big video screen, and it's just like it's out of the future. And they've got like Kawhi Leonard, like, hey, and he shoots what looks like a basketball, but it's actually a T-shirt, and then it shoots out of a hole into the crowd. So it looks like
his hand gets right to the top of the board, and then right up at the top of the board, there's like a T-shirt cannon. So
shoots out.
When it looks like he's shooting a free throw, it's actually shooting a T-shirt out to the crowd from the stadium video board.
Place is insane. It is insane.
And they said that video board, they've only used about 12% of its capability so far.
Kind of like our brains.
They have some plans for the rest of the season that they have yet to even unleash on the Clippers fans. So, it's pretty spectacular stuff.
It is.
And we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Did you watch any NBA last night?
I did not watch NBA last night. We had the live stream that we do for our Gold members, and then as soon as that was done, I went in, put the kids to bed, and then I watched Disclaimer. The latest episode of Disclaimer with Kate Blanchett and Kevin Kline, which is just the best show on TV. Has anybody tried it yet? Either of you guys?
I have not tried it yet.
Even after the episode I told you about that will make you
I'll get to it.
Insane.
You intrigued me enough that it's on the list now.
Whoever young Kate Blanchett is very talented, seductive. Man, the show is it's unbelievable. It's really artsy, but it's really good. Really good. Remember how True Detective was when it came out?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, and you watched it the first time and you go, I'm not smart enough to watch this show. I need to rewatch it. But at the third watch of that, it really hit home. This one, it grabs you in pretty good. So the new one was out, so I watched that instead. And I watched the end of the Thursday night football game. But we were on the live stream last night, and we got to talking to Ben Higgins, our friendly neighborhood sports anchor. And Ben was at work at Channel 10. And I said, where are you right now? And he said, well, I'm in our conference room here. There's a lot of hubbub around Channel 10 today because of the news that broke yesterday. And I think a lot of people right now are talking about this. The Menendez brothers, right? We all remember the case when we were younger.
Paulie probably a little young for it.
Yeah, for when it happened.
Certainly you and I. I mean, it was absolute, like before OJ.
Yeah.
This was
1989.
the giant tabloid courtroom coverage, like daily news update that you got on the Menendez brothers
every
trial.
day. I mean, I was 14 when it happened. It was just insane. And, these guys brutally murdered their parents and then went on like a spending rampage and ran from police, I think, for a while, then turned themselves in or got caught and have been in prison pretty much ever since. And
prison here in San Diego.
In San Diego,
I like to
San Diego
localize
connection,
stories.
right down the street. Maybe,
Donovan State Prison. They're here.
Maybe they're listening. Good morning, Eric and Lyle.
Do you are allowed to have radios in prison?
I think so. I've seen pictures lately of inmates playing PlayStation. So I think it's not as bad as maybe it used to be.
Transistor radio is probably very common. We may have a lot of
prisoner
listeners.
Tier 1s.
Absolutely. Love to have you. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, love to have you guys.
Don't commit any more crimes.
Right.
Though.
Use this time for good.
Perfect.
So Ben said it's been insane yesterday because of the news that broke about the Menendez brothers. And I had seen it just kind of flickering on the news. That are they going to be retried?
They're resentenced. So the prosecuting basically attorneys have recommended, based on new evidence and the totality of the case and the extenuating circumstances involving. And if you watched the Netflix special,
it's insane.
It's a dramatization, but the abuse that they suffered at the hands of the dad and the mom that didn't protect them, that this would not be a special circumstances case anymore, and that they should, instead of having 2 life sentences without parole, at least be eligible to get out with parole, like you would in a similarly tried case. So there is the possibility that if the judge agrees, then they could be up for parole, which would, allow them maybe a chance to get out of prison.
So, yeah, we were talking about it yesterday, and I asked, was this coming down the pipeline and Ryan Murphy knew about it and put out the most perfectly timed Netflix show maybe in history?
Yeah.
Or did the show come out and that spark people to go, maybe we should take a second look at everything that went down in this case? And then I guess there was another documentary that was more newsy and not a dramatization, no actors, like the real footage. And that was the documentary that kind of brought people's attention back to the case and going, maybe we should revisit this. And from what I was like reading yesterday and hearing, like they have been as much of a model citizen as
a prisoner can be.
prisoner,
they
double
charged with
murder.
Yeah, the
like,
Channel 10 reporters, they like talked to prison guards who said nothing but really like nice things about the Menendez brothers, that they help other inmates and they have not gotten in any trouble at all. And none of this changes the fact that they did,
Murder their parents.
with a shotgun in their house. That is not in dispute. No one is going to, find them not guilty. They didn't do it, sort of thing. The question is, if you were put in similar circumstances, what would you have done? Would you have, snapped like they did? Is there any way you can ever have an extenuating circumstance for murdering your own parents? Obviously, they should not have handled it the way they did.
Yeah, I don't know that it was like I don't know. I had one observation from the whole thing yesterday when I was watching the thing, and then I've seen the pictures, that Ben Higgins could be the third Menendez brother. You have there's a look about you that you look, there it is. That you, and we've talked about this before. Menendez. You could have been the cousin, maybe, or that's like scarily accurate.
There's a dark-haired country club vibe that I think does kind of fit all three of us. So
now you used to hang out with Scott. You used to hang out with Scott Peterson.
Yes.
Did you hang out with the Menendez?
I did not. I have never met either of the brothers.
It is.
Don't believe I'm related at all.
I don't know. That picture
looks very real.
I could
out at the tennis courts.
Just out at the tennis courts, just normal Saturday.
Well, they were tennis players. I was a golfer.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Well, you just finished up your round.
Cross paths. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's all the same country
It's all
club
the same.
activities.
It's all the same country club. All right.
Interesting.
I could look at that picture all day. I really could. So I don't know really how to feel about this.
I don't either. I don't either.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to feel about it.
I haven't known how to feel about this case pretty much since I learned about it.
I do feel like if you kill your parents, you should be in prison forever. I think that's really what it boils down to for me. It doesn't matter how good you've been since. You shot your parents with a shotgun. Now,
but even if your parents were like
the worst,
like
possible,
the absolute worst, you still shouldn't shoot them. Yes, but is there a way to rehabilitate and come back from that?
Like, is there not a part of you somewhere deep back there that goes, I can understand snapping?
Fine, but is there also is there a part of you guys that thinks, did they really do what they were accused of doing? They have no way to defend themselves because they got shot with a shotgun. Right.
Well,
was their dad mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does anybody, for no reason at all, just go and kill their parents? I can't imagine.
Money.
That.
I think part of what led to the resentencing, or at least all of this becoming a possibility, was that a member of Menudo confirmed that Jose Menendez did sexually abuse him and he ended up taking his life.
Wow.
And that would fit the brothers' claims. And that's what led people to then going, maybe we should take another look at this.
Yeah, I'm kind of on this.
From the 97.3.
Whoa, that's a weird time for traffic.
Well, let's do it anyway. Go ahead,
Well,
Paul.
go ahead.
Now he's got to let it all recycle, rewind the tape. Takes a little while to recompile.
Yeah, the good behavior stuff doesn't really move me much. It's you did the crime. I think you have to do the time. I think, right?
Yes, but what is the time?
They were 21 and 19 when this happened. They could have left. And disavowed your parents.
No one's arguing that they did the right thing.
Right.
Question is, have they paid their debt yet? What is their actual debt here to society?
Reed says, do you think the parents abused the children? I don't know. They're dead. they're dead. They can't really respond.
But when family members testified that they saw abuse, and then the Menudo member says the same thing, like it does add to their claims.
I mean, if they were the most wholesome, loving parents in history, and their evil children decided to murder them for their money, wouldn't they have been smarter to try to at least not just go straight in and just shoot them with shotguns?
Yeah.
I mean, they seemed like they were broken boys in some way, and to say that the parents didn't have anything to do with that, I think is silly. They obviously must have had something to do with that.
Yeah, and I don't know that being tough or abusive parents warrants a death sentence. I don't know.
I mean, if
I don't
it's
know.
what they were claiming, it's borderline.
What about
the
an
R
abused an abused wife, years of abuse,
I'm
and
down.
finally,
I'm down for that. I don't know
fights
why.
back or defends herself and shoots their husband. There are people who are in jail. There are people who have been successfully exonerated because of that. And how do we decide
That's a good point.
which ones are bad enough that it's okay to fight back, and
Nobody's
which time is
advocating
enough?
for murder.
No,
Right.
But
This was
very
premeditated
much so.
murder.
Yeah. They walked into their house with a shotgun.
34 years. I don't know, man. It's kind of freaky. It's kind of like for a guy that was 14 when this happened. It's weird for me to think that the Menendez brothers make it out, and I don't think they will. But it's weird for me to think that that's a possibility. And it's
so
probably
much
because
that
I
goes
was
into the whole
'cause
idea
I was-
of rehabilitation.
Well, because I was conditioned to see them as the monsters that they were, So it's
But unlike O.J. Simpson, these guys aren't coming out like, who shot our parents? We got to find them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
that's true. I don't think they're getting out, but it was an interesting case.
All right, Paulie's ready now for the actual traffic report with Kelly Danick here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
This traffic report is fueled by locally and veteran-owned Sedano Ford in La Mesa. Well, fortunately, no big surprises on our roads at this time, guys. Seeing the usual slowing in the usual spots. There is a crash at the clearing stage on northbound 5 before the 163. It's over to the right shoulder. Beware, San Diego, a monster deal approaches from Sedano Ford. The mighty 2024 Ford F-150 starting at a shocking $413 a month. Sedano Ford, your local veteran-owned truck headquarters. For details about this offer, visit SedanoFord.com. Scary good savings await. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Going to get into some more Padres talk in the second half of the program. Had a new piece this morning, just kind of going through it right now from Kevin Acey, Jeff Sanders in the Union Tribune. And it's kind of long, but they have some potential solutions for Padres budgetary concerns, like what can you do with Luis Arraez, Jurickson Profar, pitching, catching, role players. How do you replace all those free agents that are leaving that provided a lot of value to you last year, but you can't necessarily pay them all what they are now worth, because that would send you again skyrocketing into the payroll stratosphere, which we've all kind of figured the Padres are hoping to avoid that same sort of, payroll explosion that happened a couple of years ago.
It's interesting, too, though, because around baseball, news came out yesterday, the Texas Rangers are looking to reset their luxury tax, Ben, and they're going to be unloading pieces like Nate Eovaldi. There's a ton of guys that they're not going to be tendering or re-signing that will also hit the open market. So it's going to be interesting to see. Is it the time? Is it always the time for A.J. Preller to continue to go for it? I think he would tell you yes. How much does he have to spend? How much wiggle room does he have? We'll talk about AC's piece and then some.
We'll get into that. First, though, a little World Series talk with our friend Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue and Yahoo Sports. That's when we return on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. Be careful on the roads. We can't even see the roads from where we sit here high atop the Odyssey Empire studio. I mean, it's as foggy as I've ever seen it. So please be safe out there. We need you around.
Gnarly.
It is bad. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. It's nasty out there.
We could be in London.
We could.
It's thick, pea soup like
at a bog in Scotland.
Ooh, I like that. A
Yeah.
fen.
A fen? I've never heard that.
Yeah,
before.
it's what they call them, like in Scotland.
I thought it was called
Fen.
a bog.
I think they use the word fen sometimes.
Is bog on PC now? You can't call it
No,
a bog.
I think like where you get the peat that you use to smoke your scotch.
Oh.
That comes from a peat bog.
Right. What is
Right.
this fen word?
I don't know. Fen.
How do you spell it?
Is like a watery marshland. Fen.
F-E-N.
Fen. Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Learn something new every day here on Ben and Woods. Sound like Aaron Rodgers right now, weaving our brilliant vocabulary in. Got to stay sanguine, everybody.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we're just waiting for Jake Mintz is going to join us here in a couple of minutes as we get ready for Game 1 of the World Series tonight. It is Jack Flaherty against Garrett Cole. I was searching through some old Juan Soto stuff yesterday, and I had forgotten. Juan Soto homered off of Garrett Cole in Game 1 of the 2019 World Series.
Astros, Nats, yeah.
Now he's teammates with Garrett Cole starting Game 1 of the 2024 World Series. And as long as that feels like it was, a lifetime ago.
It really does.
He's still just 25 years old. He was 20 when that World Series started in 2019 for the Washington Nationals.
Just Soto shuffling everybody. It was just hysterical. And now, hopefully, he'll be doing it big for the Yankees.
And, are we ready?
Yeah,
we
we
are
ready.
ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
come
All
on.
right, then let's go out. And joined by our friend, Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue and Yahoo Sports. Sorry, I was looking away from Paul. I was trying to give the thumbs up signal that Jake was ready. Our segment brought to you by our friends at Grand Old Barbecue. Jake, happy World Series to you.
Happy World Series to you. I have to say, getting up early to talk to you guys today, now that I'm on the West Coast for the World Series, you folks get up freaking early every day. Jeepers creepers, friends.
You know what time?
How many hours have you been up?
You know what time I got up this morning?
You got up
2:30.
Yeah.
2:30.
That's the best time to go to the dentist, man.
Bagel, coffee, back to bed, scrolled Twitter, pulled myself out of bed at 3:30. I was in the office by 4:15, which was just a nightmare.
You folks do the Lord's work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am out here in Los Angeles for Game 1 of the World Series, which will be here tonight. And I assume you folks are just rooting for a meteor.
No, we're rooting for the Yankees. Yeah, we're rooting for the Yankees, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I understand there are 3 fan bases in America who are rooting particularly heavily for the other side. That would be you folks, the Giants, and the Red Sox.
Yep.
And everyone else is just kind of in the middle, looking for something to attach themselves to, I think.
So you're an O's fan. You cover baseball, but you're an O's fan. So you're obviously rooting for the Dodgers, I would imagine.
No,
No.
that is not true.
Which team then? I wanted to ask this question. If you truly are Midwest baseball fan, but don't care particularly for the Yankees or the Dodgers, which team is more likable and enjoyable? I think the Yankees is the answer there, but what do you think, Jake?
You folks are obviously looking at this from a slightly warped,
Of course.
Yeah,
lens,
100%.
which is important and totally understandable.
Impossible to avoid.
I do think you touch on something interesting, which is that this Yankees team is pretty likable.
I thought so too.
They are.
For a Yankees team.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, the reason that teams get unlikable is because we see them all the time.
Yep.
Yes, the Astros banged on some trash cans, but part of the reason that Alex Bregman and Altuve became these villains is because October 15th, like you just see them every freaking year.
Every October.
And it's like, I need to see something new. We haven't seen any of these Yankees in the World Series, right? There are only 3 Yankees, I guess, with any World Series experience. That's Rizzo, Cole, and Juan Soto. And that, like, none of them have ever done it on the Yankees before. And so you're right. There is a level of freshness to it. Now, at the same time, it's still the Yankees, right? And for a lot of people, that's enough.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's enough.
No doubt.
That really is enough. And I think that the Dodgers are likable more than you would expect from where you're coming from. Ohtani is likable. For you folks, I'm sure he's exhausting to think about because he's omnipresent.
Yeah.
But he is likable. He is easy to watch, easy to follow, easy to root for. He is inherently excellent at the sport.
Right.
All the time. And so the idea that he could get the ultimate prize is fitting and appropriate. And so, like, for me, I often think about who would I be ecstatic for, which people would I be happy for if they won a ring, right? And number one on the list is Brent Honeywell.
Yeah, your guy.
Dodgers reliever, former Padres reliever. Like, that's the dude, considering the injuries he's battled through. Like, that's who I'd be most happy for, right? And then you just kind of go down the list, like, who like in the champagne celebration at the end of the World Series would make me happy?
Tim Hill.
And I think
there's
if
no
you're a
question.
fan-
It's Tim
Tim
Hill.
Hill for us.
It's
It's
Tim
Tim
Hill.
Hill, yeah.
It's Tim Hill.
Tim Hill.
Yeah, love Timmy
Exactly.
Hill.
And if
Trent
you are a fan
Grisham.
of any team that's not these two teams, just like go down that list and think about if any of these players have like connections to your own fandom. And then from there, I think the chips will kind of fall as they may.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell us this, but you're right. This is for other people listening right now.
I feel like Aaron Judge, though,
Aaron Judge is that guy.
every bit as likable and talented as Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, he doesn't pitch, but Ohtani this year hasn't done any of that at all. And I don't think that Aaron Judge has really made a misstep at all.
Never. I
in
can't
what
think
he's
of
done.
any missteps.
We were
he's
talking
had.
earlier, Jay, he took less to stay with the Yankees. The Padres offered him more, and he took less to stay with the Yankees. No one has ever taken less to stay with the Yankees before.
He just didn't want to be around you buffoons.
That's fair.
Probably what
That's
it was.
absolutely fair.
I actually just wrote like 2,000 words on Aaron Judge, which you can go read up at Yahoo Sports right now, just about his presence as a captain beyond the batter's box. Like, let's establish a couple things. One, he just delivered the best offensive season we've ever seen since Barry Bonds, right? Like, go look at the numbers. It's true.
Insane.
Two, every time someone says something about being the captain of the Yankees, your eyes roll so far back in your head that you're staring at your brain, right? That is also true. But it is important to think about why Aaron Judge carries himself the way he does, right? He is boring. He never says anything particularly spicy in public. And there's a reason for that. He is someone who's trying to simplify his world because of all of the things that are on his plate. And behind the scenes, they love this guy. Absolutely love this guy. I wrote about a moment from the ALDS. It's hard to think about this now, but the ALDS was tied 1 game apiece against Kansas City, 7th inning of game 3, tie ball game, right? Season in the balance. The Yankees are a couple bounces away from just another embarrassing October exit. Judge strikes out on a check swing call. Bad call. Doesn't swing. They call him out. The dugout erupts. Anger, F-bombs, hands on head, the whole 9 yards. And he doesn't react an inch. He unbuckles his shin guard and he just strolls back out to his position. And we often think about how panic in a dugout in a playoff game is contagious.
Yeah.
And something that a lot of the Yankees talked to me about when I asked them about this moment, they were like, Aaron Judge's calmness is contagious. His steadiness is contagious. They don't homer in the next inning and win the series because Aaron Judge didn't throw a pissy fit, right? But like, that stuff over the year helps. And I do think it is very interesting to think about him as this character who has molded himself in the image of Jeter.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really, really good story, and the way that you told it was really good. Talking to our pal Jake Mintz here on Ben and Woods this morning, and yeah. So the matchups, though, I mean, it's gonna be great, man. This is Ali Frazier. This is the two heavyweights. Who do you give the advantage to right now? Because I can literally I lay in bed at night and I can work these games out in my head, and you know I feel like it's going 7. I do feel like it's going to go the distance, but you know, some teams have slight advantage here and there. How do you kind of look at it?
I think the Yankees' starting pitching edge is significant. I think that Jack Flaherty, who will start game 1 tonight and will probably start game 5 whenever that is, he was throwing 90 miles an hour in his last time out.
Yep.
He got blasted against the Mets. I mean, he got blasted in his first game against the Padres in the DS, but his most recent start was a little different, where like his heater was just weak and he didn't have command of it. And he started throwing like 50% curveballs, and the Mets knocked him out after 2 and change. Like, it was bad, right? And he's throwing game 1 tonight against the Yankees. Like, that makes me somewhat concerned. But on the flip side, okay, Garrett Cole didn't look particularly sharp against the Guardians and the Royals offenses.
Yeah.
Do we think that means he's going to dominate the Dodgers? Like, maybe. Baseball's stupid. He could totally do that. But at the end of the day, when you like squeeze it all out, I think the Dodgers having to do one bullpen game in the middle of the series means that they need to hold horses back earlier on to some extent. And I think that if you're looking for something that could be the difference where the margins are so small, that's what stands out to me.
What's so dumb is these two guys could square off tonight and both go 5 scoreless. I mean, against these vaunted offenses, and you just never know how it's going to shake out, and that's what's obviously the best part about the playoffs.
Jake Mintz is with us from Cespedes Family Barbecue, and Jake, here's a question. I don't know if you've pondered it at all. Juan Soto, does the outcome of the World Series, win or lose, have any impact on his likelihood to re-sign with the Yankees in free agency, or is that a completely separate issue? Because I can play it out both ways.
Yeah.
You win a World Series, hey, I did it. Now I can move on to another team without feeling like I need to come back. You lose it, you feel like I got unfinished business. I do need to come back. Or you win a World Series and go, let's run it back again. How can I leave this team after winning? I don't know if it has any effect at all on this decision.
I don't think we know anything.
We've lived that for a couple of years here too. We know how that feels.
Like, I just have no idea. And I think that we just need to go off of like track record and history. So Soto, his agent, is Scott Boras. And Scott Boras clients don't usually act with emotion, right? It is often a cold-hearted, calculated decision about where's the most money coming from. You don't ask for Scott Boras to be your agent if you think you're going to just take a hometown discount, usually, right? Like 95% of the time. And so for me, I'm looking at it with like this realpolitik kind of pragmatic lens, where if the Yankees win the World Series, the franchise will make more money and then have more money to spend on Juan Soto. And so I think that, to me, I know those margins are small at the end of the day, right? But like, that's the difference to me, if I had to pick something. So I would say them winning makes it more likely for him to stay. If there's a scenario in which they lose in embarrassing fashion and he like becomes the villain of the clubhouse somehow, I assume that could make him leave. But I think at the end of the day, the outcome of the World Series and the biggest decision of the offseason, where Juan Soto goes, they're disconnected.
It's good to know that whoever wins the World Series, that team will finally be able to sell some of their hats.
Yeah, get some money.
And get some of those out and about in our country. Because,
make some cash. Yeah, all that playoff money. I know. I mean, it's just filling up that cash register again. It does feel good.
But like, I was thinking about it earlier in this conversation. I'm 34 years old, Jake, and I grew up like most people.
You look great, Paul.
Oh, thanks,
you look
buddy.
great.
Appreciate you. I grew up being told you have to hate the Yankees because they just all they do is buy championships and spend money and go to the World Series, win the division every year. They haven't been to a World Series in 15 years. They aren't just buying every single high-priced team or player. In fact, they're playing a team that is now just going out and buying. Like, the Dodgers are doing what the Yankees used to do, and we were told you got to hate the Yankees for that. So I would assume that, Joe Cardinals fan would not be rooting for the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You bring up something very funny. So, I coached Little League in New York, and a couple years ago, during October, one of the kids shows up to practice in a Luke Voigt jersey, which is hilarious in and of itself, right?
Loves the
And
boy.
I'm like, what do you think of the Yankees' chances? And the kid goes, they're just going to blow it like they always do. And this kid is 11 or 12. And this kid has only seen
The Yankees
the
be
Yankees
terrible.
blow it. Like, he was born in 2011 or whatever.
Yeah, the
And
Astros
so it's
just
like,
kicking their ass every year.
oh my God, it was so funny. They're going to blow it like they always do. And you're right. Like, the perception of when you're born in the baseball you watch as you get older, when you're a kid, shapes the way you think about all these teams, right? Like, I
So
imagine
funny.
for someone who grew up during like the early 90s, like the Braves were the hated foe. And there were probably people who hated the Orioles from the 1970s, right? Like, you're right that now the Dodgers have become more Yankees than the Yankees.
Yeah.
But it's not as if the Yankees are the A's,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
It's they're still spent a lot of money to make sure Aaron Judge is still around.
I
That's
think
funny
I
as
think
hell,
the
man.
opposite is funny. I think about Woods' 6-year-old, baseball-obsessed 6-year-old who has grown up in a world in which the Padres
Are good. Yeah, they're good.
I mean, they're good.
They're good enough to make the
competitive,
playoffs, yeah.
exciting team. And, everyone says, oh, yeah. I mean, his only experience is with the Padres essentially
Have been
being
really good.
playoff contenders every year.
And having the best, and having star player
4
after star
decades
player.
of like, oh, yeah, every 12 years we may have a chance to make the playoffs. That's not
It's crazy.
That's the funniest part, is that they're interesting with stars. It's not necessarily just that they're good, right? It's like your kid is like, wow, there's so much to care about. And I wish your kid had just like 1 year of memory of Brett Wallace.
Oh,
Like, just to
100%.
keep him humble.
100%. He's not.
With all due respect to Brett Wallace.
He will not be humble. And you know what? I kind of love that for him because I see some of the pain. I've only been here 15 years. He's 6, but I see some of the pain and I hear it and I read it and I see it on Twitter and I hear it from callers and in my DMs. And I'm like, I don't want that pain for my son. I don't want him to try to convince himself, that Jabari Blash is going to be the next big slugger
He will.
in Major League Baseball. But
Hey, good thing this Padres season didn't end with any pain. Whew.
Yeah.
he was over it the next day. He was like, I loved it. He had a blast this season. And I think that's the right perspective.
That's how you guys felt too?
No, not us.
We're still
getting
2
over
weeks
it.
later. We're
Yeah.
still a little working out our feelings here.
That's exactly. We're still in it.
was last time we talked to you was the day it ended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad.
The morning it ended, the
Yeah,
amount of
it ended.
optimism. You were not feeling good, if I remember
No,
correctly. You
no.
folks were nervous.
We were not doing well.
I was headed up to
Well,
where
look-
you are today, Dodger Stadium. So
It is better to have loved and lost
That's true.
to the Dodgers
No.
than never to have loved at all.
Jake, it's 8:18 in the morning in LA. Leave now. Try to leave. Where are you staying in proximity to Dodger Stadium? That's what I want to know.
That's a great joke. I am downtown, so I will be okay.
Okay.
It is like a 10-minute drive from where I am, so it'll take me about an hour.
Hour and a
later.
half. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also going at an off time, way before
Really
the crowd,
early.
and
Good.
coming back after them. So I could walk if I needed to. It's like 2.5 miles from here.
Nice.
That being said, whew,
it's a gnarly
I mean,
2.5 miles.
It's a
If you
gnarly.
get on
Yes,
that.
it is.
I'm not just saying this because I'm on a San Diego radio show, but like, you give me San Diego or LA,
Any day.
it's
Not
not
close.
a question.
It's not. It's not even
Not a
close.
question.
It's not even close. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Thank
you, man.
you, Jake.
Have fun.
yeah.
Will do.
There he is. Jake Mintz, Cespedes Family Barbecue, Yahoo Sports. Our segment brought to you by our friends at Grand Old Barbecue. Try the brisket. Thank me later. It's absolutely incredible.
What a great-
Did we actually get a
great
pick
segment.
from him or not? We didn't.
No, we didn't.
We didn't get an official pick.
I think Yankees. He said
He
maybe
leaned
had
Yankees.
leaned
Yeah,
to the
Yankees. He
as
said
the starting pitching.
He said because the Dodgers are going to have to be careful with their bullpen and go to the bullpen day, that could be the edge in the series.
Yeah.
So lean Yankees. Did get a good I did get a good response when I questioned why is Jack Flaherty going in game one if
Yeah.
they have so many question marks, which they clearly do. John on Twitter said Dodgers starting Flaherty in game one because he can at least pitch on 4 days rest. Yamamoto always needs 5 days rest. So if he starts game two, you got the 2 off days before and after, before game 3, after game 5, so he can pitch on his kind of usual 5 days rest. So that does make logistical sense for the Dodgers.
Imagine not being able to. Imagine not even saying, "Don't worry about my extra day of rest. I barely pitched this year. You pay me $324 million. I'll pitch when you need me to."
You won't be happy if it goes to Game 5 and you're down 3-1 and you're relying on Jack Flaherty's like noodle arm falling off to save your season at that point.
Right.
But
yeah, have fun.
All right, we will come back.
I guess I'm just built different. Whatever you guys need.
Definitely have some interesting. I think some interesting tidbits about the possible Padres pitching rotation from Kevin Acee this morning. We'll get to that coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, here we go. Black 17 on. That is my number. All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Just in case you didn't hear him the first 5 or 6 times, he said it. Dave Roberts once again reiterated that Shohei Ohtani will not be pitching in the World Series, creating headlines again. He hasn't even been saying that for about 3 or 4 weeks. They for one day they opened the door.
Well, they had him
to the possibility.
They had him throwing, and he's been on a throwing program. And there was actually
as any pitcher is after Tommy John surgery. Joe Musgrove is supposed to, if everything goes well, begin his throwing program at spring training.
Nice.
Doesn't mean we're going to see him at all next season. Just because Ohtani is throwing off a mound doesn't mean he's ready to pitch in a Major League Baseball game.
You know, I actually got a hot tip about this exact topic a few weeks ago. I was talking to somebody who shares an agent with Shohei Ohtani. And we started talking about the idea of Ohtani pitching, and he goes, yeah, when I heard that, I looked into it. I started asking my guys over there, and I go, "Is this a real thing?" And they said, "No, 0% chance he pitches this October." This was like the beginning of the playoffs, right before the playoffs. Like 0% chance. In fact, we have no idea why Dave even threw that out there, because now that's all Shohei's going to be asked throughout the duration of the playoffs. Are you going to pitch? Are you going to pitch? It was never a possibility. It was not even close to being a possibility.
You would think some of this stuff would come back and bite Dave Roberts in the ass, as it usually does in October, and it has not yet. So he's, there's no, I don't think there's any chance that they do that. That would be, I mean, let's call it what it is. It would be some of the most elite cinema of all time. You know, you see him
comes out in Game 7
between innings. You see him walk to the bullpen,
just like one inning to close out Game 7, like he did in the World Baseball Classic.
Remember how sick that was? Him versus
incredible.
Trout. Now imagine him versus
Judge
or Soto in the 9th inning.
Both of them in the 9th inning in a 1-run game.
I think my head would cave in. just cave in.
I mean, you always accuse Dave Roberts of being the moment chaser. That's that would be the ultimate moment.
That's the ultimate one.
You couldn't recreate it, because you'd need a pitcher who's been out for, over a year to make it that dramatic, to come back in Game 7.
It's like a Disney movie, man.
But
the
downside is, so astronomical. He goes out there, doesn't pitch well,
Hurts
blows the
himself in a
World
warm-up.
Series, hurts himself again. You're like, wow, that really, really backfired on us.
Yeah,
Here's my prediction. If the World Series comes down to a Game 7, 9th inning situation with a 1-run game, you will see Blake Trinan in the game for the Los Angeles Dodgers, not Shohei Ohtani.
It's probably a better move.
And if you're a Dodger fan, I'd feel pretty good about that based on what I've seen from Blake Trinan this month.
Like almost unhittable Blake Trinan. So, there's no reason for that to happen. Won't happen, but he will be probably ready to go next season.
All right, we will come back. Who are the Padres going after for their pitching rotation with Joe Musgrove out next season? Because it appears they are looking to add arms.
Good.
Despite, budgetary concerns and everything else, other players that they need to bring back. Looks like the Padres are going after some arms. We will give you the update on that story when we return with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. A couple of new tidbits this morning in the Union Tribune on the Padres off season. Nothing earth-shattering necessarily. We all know the question marks facing the Padres. We've spent 2 weeks pretty much going through the off-season questions.
Love the off-season questions.
Luis Ariz, for instance, mentions they could sign him to a multi-year deal that could actually help lower his CBT number if the average is less than what he would make in arbitration this year. Kevin Acee did write, and because I did suggest the possibility earlier this week that the Padres do not seem likely to non-tender Ariz. They would not risk losing him in free agency by not offering him arbitration.
Sure.
So ultimately, if Luis Ariz does not sign a contract extension, he will be making that arbitration figure, whatever the projection was, $13 million somewhere. And that will be what he costs also against the CBT level. But they gave up, remember, Dylan Head and a couple of other prospects to get him. And, they want him to be more than just a rental.
Sure.
Which I understand.
I do too.
And I think we mostly...
And healthy. Healthy, not a torn ligament in his thumb.
It's funny. I think there's an absolutely legitimate conversation about Luis Ariz's value.
Yes.
And what it is, in baseball and to the Padres. But I think for the most part, whatever it is, we all would like to see him back.
Yes, 100%.
Whatever role they put him in and however much you get out of him, there's no reason not to bring him back if you can. I don't think they're going to find someone better than Luis Ariz, who hits better than Luis Ariz. Can you find someone cheaper? Probably, but he's not going to hit 330, 340, and I fully believe there's even a better version of Luis Ariz than the one that was not healthy for most of the season.
Yeah, how could you not? How could you not believe that we've seen it, and he's done it, and, again, I know the numbers, and I know the postseason was brutal, and it's just talking about so many of these guys, Benny, that are on the fringes for the Padres. None of them really had good postseasons, so it does kind of cloud your judgment a little bit. It really does. That
includes Jurickson, Profar.
Yep.
They had the whole will they won't they. Went through the Padres would probably like him back. Jurickson probably wants to come back, but he also wants to test free agency.
Sure.
What are you willing to pay? Did mention that Kyle Higashioka, they will attempt to sign Higashioka.
I
but
hope
again,
so. I love Higgy.
He's at free agency. He's due a raise. Luis Campusano will likely be back and get at least one more opportunity for the Padres going forward. But it was in the pitching blurb that I thought you had the most interesting comments, and I want to get to what the Padres may do beyond the guys coming back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danner.
This traffic report is driven by Kearney Mesa Volkswagen. Looks like a couple folks get to spend part of their weekend getting their vehicles in for some servicing. We've got stall on eastbound 8 right before Mission Gorge Road. It's over the right shoulder. Also a stall reported on the SeaWorld Drive on-ramp to northbound 5. And southbound side of the 5 coastline on or near the Loma Santa Fe on-ramp, we are getting reports of some sort of drywall and other construction debris that some careless souls dropped into the roadway. Carve out a great deal on the 2024 Volkswagen Taos front-wheel drive at $197 per month. This compact SUV is more treat than trick. Visit Kearney Mesa Volkswagen, proudly local and veteran-owned. For more details, head to KearneyMesaVolkswagen.com. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so at this point, Kevin Acee and Jeff Sanders are operating under the assumption, and tell me if you agree with this, that right now, Padres' pitching rotation looks pretty much like Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish, Michael King, and Randy Vasquez going into spring training next year.
Yes.
Feel pretty confident that even Randy Vasquez is now, after being a spot starter, 5th starter, 6th starter this year, is one of the guys going into next season.
Yeah, he'll get a hit. He'll absolutely get a turn in the rotation.
I agree with that as well. Well, given health of all those guys, that's where you start. Now, Matt Waldron, they go, yeah, probably is going to get a shot at it, but is not, you don't ink him into your starting rotation going into next year, but you're certainly happy if Matt Waldron shows up and looks like he did for the, middle chunk of last season. And if that's the case, you got at least 5 starters.
Are the shackles off on Michael King next year? Like no extended, skipping a start, nothing. Like
I
he's
think
full in, right?
He's ready to go.
I mean, in the sense that our shackles are on pretty much every pitcher in baseball at this
Correct.
point. But
Yes.
But
there's no more, hey, this is his first full
no,
season
I don't
as a
think
starter,
there's any
and
talk
we're
about,
gonna-
watching his innings that closely. It's like, give us what you can give us. But I'm not expecting him to go out and pitch 240 innings either. So now, after those 5, Kevin writes that the Padres are likely, indications are the Padres will seek 2 pitchers capable of being inserted behind those 4, not including Matt Waldron. So 2 more arms somewhere on the market, either in trade or free agency, that they believe could be starting pitchers to ultimately give them 7 workable starting pitchers going into spring training.
Sure.
It's a good place to be.
Yep.
The big question is, who would those guys be? AJ has done a nice job in recent years, especially with the whole Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, Nick Martinez triumvirate in 2023. Kind of amazing that season didn't work out because of how well those guys all worked out.
The absolute X factors of that team, we all said, if these guys have a good year, there's no way we miss the playoffs. They had brilliant years, and we still missed the playoffs.
Now, do those guys exist out there? Because they're probably not on your radar at the moment. The way that, if I remember correctly, I had no idea who Nick Martinez was.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Certainly had heard of Seth Lugo,
Sure.
but wasn't projecting him as a big-time starting pitcher the way he's become. And Michael Wacha was, he was a spring training ad that seemed kind of like superfluous.
Superfluous and punty. Yeah.
Why do we need Michael Wacha for?
Yeah.
Turned out they needed him and more that season. I don't know that we know any of those names that AJ may be looking at. That, to me, is the biggest mystery and intriguing factor. If he's really going after 2 pitchers, who are these guys and where is he going to find them this offseason?
And I don't know that it's going to be, I pretty much do know it's not going to be frontline guys of the front line.
I don't believe Blake Snell is one of the 2.
Yeah, I don't think so either. As much as I'd love to have Snellzilla
don't think
back,
Corbin Burns is probably one of the 2.
Correct. But I guess you put your faith that you can recapture that magic and turn him over to Ruben and see what Ruben can do and get the best out of him.
Yeah, and while Kevin doesn't specifically say it's not, he said inserted behind Cease, Darvish, King, and Vasquez. That including Vasquez. If you're inserting someone behind Vasquez,
then
it's not Blake Snell.
Correct.
It's not Corbin Burns. We're looking at lower level, cheaper arms that could go into the starting rotation. Now, another thing that we have kind of brought up as well. So the Padres don't seem inclined. It's not inconceivable that the Padres would trade Dylan Cease, but they don't seem inclined to do that. They know they're going to get pretty confidently 180 innings or more from Dylan Cease, 200 strikeouts. He will have runs throughout the season like we saw where he has no-hit stuff. Also somewhat, inconsistent, and it's perhaps going to affect their decision of whether they want to sign him long-term. But if you're trying to win next season, you're better off with Dylan Cease than without Dylan Cease.
I agree. I do agree. And I think you need to be okay if you're a Padres fan saying, look, well, we've got you for another year. Let's go out and try to win a World Series again. And then, he can test free agency when he's done.
You kind of have to let him go. He says it would take a special deal that brings back Major League ready arms. someone's willing to overpay for Dylan Cease, you listen.
Yep.
Especially with him approaching free agency. But the indications are that the Padres are not going to simply shop Dylan Cease around because they're trying to save money and not pay him his arbitration figure, whatever that is, in the $15 to $18 million range, I think we've seen. So that's some of the stuff on pitching. They said they could make a play to extend Dylan Cease or Michael King. But here's the problem with any contract extensions, other than Luis Arraez, who you might be able to save money on with a contract extension. Any contract extension this offseason, you could backload it. You could save money this year by, hey, Michael, we'll give you 10 this year, but then 20, 25, and 27 the next 3 years. And he might go for that. But that hurts your luxury tax number because they average those numbers. And all of a sudden, instead of a $13 million pitcher, Michael King's a $20 million pitcher. Same goes, honestly, and they mentioned this with Jackson Merrill. A contract extension for Jackson Merrill is very problematic for the Padres in this particular offseason.
Yeah.
Because, you may only give him an extra, we'll give you $2 million this year just to front load, more than you would have made otherwise, which is great for Jackson. But the big money, the 20, 25, 30, 35, that comes 7, 8 years down the road, which makes perfect sense, except all of a sudden, instead of counting the minimum against your luxury tax, which Jackson Merrill is going to this year, he may start counting $25 million against your luxury tax. And now you're paying even more on top of that for a player that was going to just be an $850,000 player for you next season. Now you're paying luxury tax money and his salary. It makes it really hard to do a Jackson Merrill contract extension this offseason.
The one X factor that really could change the entire game for the San Diego Padres in 2025 is Roki Sasaki. And people are bringing him up in the chat. You can get him for the international slot money, which isn't a ton, but there's so many things that have to fall into place. He's got to be willing.
No luxury tax implications at all.
Yeah, I mean,
other than a minimum salary.
He's got to be willing to come here, right? And his team needs to be willing to let him go. And then he has to want to come pitch in San Diego instead of L.A. They asked Dave Roberts about him yesterday. And he
they did?
Oh, yeah. They asked him about Roki Sasaki.
Really?
He said... They said, do you believe the Dodgers' elevated brand in Japan will give you an advantage in signing Sasaki? He said, I hope so, absolutely. We're thinking alike now. Good for you. Even though he's kind of a country kid from the farm, I think having Ohtani there, Yamamoto there, would make him comfortable. Say, you know what? I'd rather go where I have some friends. Bob Nightingale said that as well yesterday. So I think, but if you could potentially lure him to come here, it does solve a lot of problems pitching-wise for you.
It's the perfect solution.
Oh, yeah.
It's so perfect
the
that
dream.
Obviously AJ Preller is going to go at him as hard. If he is available, he will be courted and wooed in every way possible that the Padres know how. They will unleash Hideo Nomo on him. They will unleash Yu Darvish on him. They will do everything they can to sign Roki Sasaki. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, no stone will be left unturned.
But so will 29 other teams.
Well, so
for the most part.
So I was reading a little bit about him yesterday, and obviously every single team with international slot money is in. And the Cubs have been sending a ton of scouts to Japan. The Yankees have been sending a ton of scouts to Japan. The Dodgers, the Padres. There's going to be a lot of
Feels
teams.
like it's a roulette wheel.
It
and
really
you're hoping
is, man.
the ball lands on your number. And if it does, fantastic. I mean, game-changingly good.
Potentially, yeah.
And if he goes to the Dodgers for the minimum, it's horrible.
It sucks.
It's horrible, and it's a very likely outcome as well.
We then pivot to a basketball show. We're just a basketball show. That's what we do. We'll pick a team. We'll pick a team. That's what we'll do.
The dragon becomes an even bigger dragon that would be really fun to slay. But if they parlay like a World Series title
into Roki Sasaki,
into Shohei Ohtani coming back to pitch at a Cy Young level next year, and they have budgetary freedom to go out and sign a Juan Soto or whoever, it's ridiculous. It's almost bad for baseball if they get to that point where they become so overwhelmingly dominant and favorites that it's not just the Padres who would be like throwing their arms in the air. It would be everybody in baseball.
Yeah.
Even the Yankees would be going, come on, dude. Like, we're the Yankees, and you're this isn't even fun for the rest of us if you're going to do this.
Well, when you get Ohtani for $2 million a year, and then you get Roki Sasaki. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough
minimum.
It would be a tough pill to swallow, but say la vie. You got to roll with the punches and figure it out. You can't fold, throw in the towel. Certainly, but he would be a guy that comes in and solves just so much. He just solves so much. Financial flexibility, elite stuff, the right age, the right makeup, all of it. He's really kind of the perfect prospect, much like Shohei was, except Roki doesn't hit. But, other than that, man, the pitching side, he solves a lot. And, I really hope. I
almost don't even dare to dream on it. Like, when have we been so
don't get your
lucky
don't
as
get
an
your hopes up.
organization that's going to happen for us? But it could. I would say the Padres are positioned as well as anyone to make a run at him. I mean, that's been part of the plan and the strategy. So, I know it very well could go the other way.
Yeah, it absolutely
Kyle
could.
Glazer in a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about Roki Sasaki, and he made it sound like it's still very much a question of whether or not he even gets posted.
Correct.
I don't remember. What are deadlines on any of that?
It's actually, I think they can kind of pick when the window opens when it happens, and then there's like a 6-week time frame or something where they can do all but sometimes it doesn't open until December. Sometimes it opens November. It just is when they decide to do it, if they're going to do it.
If they'll let him go without a massive posting fee.
And there's no reason for his team to let him go.
None. It's actually very detrimental.
I'm sure they would very much like to keep him, but at the same time, if they have had a deal under the table for years, like, I really want to go, I will do one more year for you.
Yeah.
You can't hold people hostage. Necessarily.
Right.
And if it's become that situation where Roki Sasaki feels like he's being held hostage by his own team, you don't want that either.
Yep.
And all right, I guess there's not much else we can do other than let him go if that's really what he wants.
If he comes back to you, he's yours forever.
True.
Yeah, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back to you,
he's coming back to Chiba Latte or whatever his team is.
So Jay to the JO says, aren't the fees to even talk to them still 20 to 30 million? I don't think so. Not for him. It's a different type of deal.
And that doesn't. I don't think that affects your luxury tax at all.
I don't think so either. I don't even think I don't think the Padres have to stroke a check for $30 million to talk to him. I don't think they will.
Now, if it was Yamamoto, the normal posting system, the Dodgers had to not only pay him the $325 million, but they had to give like a percentage to his team as well. But this would be different if he comes over this year.
Like I said, he's the perfect solution.
Perfect solution.
So don't mess it up, AJ, if you're listening.
Good luck.
Go get it.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning. Go get Roki Sasaki.
All right, Paulie's got some headlines in the Reindl Report coming up next. I got my Super Saturday college football schedule as well. Final hour of Ben and Woods. I still haven't gotten to my San Diego connection story of the day.
Oh, you have one every day now.
That was the idea.
Okay.
Today's is a fairly big headline that we haven't talked about involving Kawhi Leonard. Easy San Diego connection there, but also the former trainer at SDSU, Randy Shelton, who has filed a lawsuit against the LA Clippers. This was reported yesterday by ESPN. He got fired. So he was hired by the Clippers in 2019 after he was at San Diego State, and Kawhi was still with the Spurs at the time. But apparently, according to his lawsuit, the Clippers, like from the very beginning, were like, all right, you're going to help us get Kawhi.
We're getting Kawhi, so we want you here.
We want you here because we know you got a good relationship. You know all about his health. You've trained him.
Yeah.
You're our inside man to get Kawhi. And
Which
like
is
that
tampering.
It started like a years-long, basically process of tampering into Kawhi Leonard.
Wow.
They, of course, eventually did sign Kawhi and get him to Los Angeles, but then they fired Randy Shelton, and apparently kind of an ugly ending. He was questioning some of the care methods and stuff of the Clippers, so they fired him, and now he's kind of coming back, and he's got this lawsuit where he's threatening to blow the lid on a potential scandal or just disgruntled former employee. You can kind of read it both ways in that situation.
Yeah,
but
the Clippers said, well, we paid him his full contract that he was under, and then we let him go. And now they essentially said he's shaking us down for more money.
You can read it both ways.
Yeah.
But, either there's really the big dirt here on the Clippers, or there's a guy who's just mad that they let him go and is trying to get more money out of the richest guy, one of the richest guys in the world.
How long has he been there in LA?
Kawhi,
Yeah.
this is
Fourth year,
I think.
What are you going to do about it now, 4 years later? Is the NBA going to come down and say, well, yeah, you guys might have tampered on Kawhi 4 years ago. We're going to...
I mean, they should if they find any. If there's any legitimate findings that they were, they should be at least penalized in some way. Draft picks.
I do get the sense, though, that had there been tampering with Kawhi Leonard, it wouldn't be just this guy that knew about it or suspected it or called for an investigation. Am I right? 4 years later, you're going to say, by the way,
you want to keep that circle as tight as possible if you're going to break the rules and do tampering.
Sure.
It may just be the GM and this guy.
Do tampering. I like
do
that.
tampering.
Yeah. do marijuana.
Do tampering.
You want to do some alcohol later, then? You going to do
smoke some tampering so much?
Are you going to do some alcohol at your tailgate tomorrow at the Aztecs game?
Yes, I'd like to buy one tampering.
I would like to do some alcohol later. So I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do 4 years later? Maybe we get away with it if you tampered. I think there's a lot of tampering that goes on in the NBA.
I mean, the irony, of course, is that Kawhi Leonard has been a massive disappointment.
Correct.
After winning titles for the Spurs and the Raptors. Been a massive disappointment and unable to stay healthy and on the court for the Clippers during his tenure there.
Yeah,
so
it's good San Diego
the tampering
story.
in the world has not paid off in what the Clippers were hoping it would pay off with, if they actually did it, which we don't know for sure.
If I did it, the O.J. Simpson story,
the tampering story.
He should put out a book. That guy, if I tampered, if I did it. Paulie, take it away, buddy.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Happy Friday, everybody. We will start off in the NFL. I've got some news here. It has become increasingly clear that the NFL hates Germany. So
What? They're about to play a game in Germany.
They are,
aren't they?
and we're going
Right.
to talk about that game. So if you've been waking up early on Sundays the last few weeks, you might have been watching the London games. There's been a different game for the last 2 or 3 weeks now in London as the NFL tries to continue to expand their global brand awareness. And coming up on oh, what date is it? It's the Sunday, November 10th, I think. Yeah, November 10th. They are going to go across the seas again, playing in Germany. And the game, now they didn't know these teams were going to be bad when they scheduled this game. But you can probably have taken a guess. It's the Giants and the Panthers. 2-5 Giants taking on the 1-6 Panthers.
They give London two Jaguars games every single year.
Right.
They know what you're getting into with them.
But we also...
They're like, you guys will take anything.
Just to make
Germans
matters,
will take anything.
To make matters even worse, yesterday the NFL made an announcement, and the halftime performer of that game in Munich, Machine Gun Kelly. So not only do you have to suffer through Giants-Panthers... Old MGK.
What a threeness that is. MGK, the
Jeremy,
Panthers,
what
and
did
the
we
Giants.
do?
What did we do to you guys? That is the world's worst threeness right there, those three.
And it'll probably be sold out because, you want to go to an NFL game and you're in Germany, you have limited options.
That is a tough. My wife watched MGK on some show. Drew Barrymore or something. She goes, I'm telling you. I go, stop.
She's like got a huge podcast, or is it a TV show?
TV show.
She's got a real TV show?
Yeah. And my wife's like, I'm telling you. It was really, he's great. I'm like, stop. Stop right this. No, I'm serious. I go, Hannah, it's enough. It's enough. She's like, I'm not kidding. I think you would really be fascinated. I said, I won't be. Trust me. Guys, it's one of the worst. It's one of the worst. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. All genres that he does. It's literally some of the worst things I've ever seen.
He does multiple genres?
Oh, does he ever? Does he ever? Rock,
It's like
rap.
Post Malone's now doing the same thing. Just whatever's popular, whatever I can capitalize the most. Now I'm a country singer.
I'll just do country. He's not bad at it. Post is pretty good. He's got Texas roots, Texas. The Texas Rangers.
Not necessarily my thing, but I hear Post Malone's not bad.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not at all. But MGK is bad. He's bad, straight up.
It's not great.
No.
It's not a great nickname.
The Texas Rangers.
2 times this week for that drop.
The Texas Rangers.
Texas?
MGK.
All right, we'll move over from football to a sport we do not talk about a ton, UFC. UFC 308 is getting ready to take place, and Dana White, I saw this, I think this was yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, but Dana White was in Abu Dhabi for the press conferences for UFC 308, and it was the portion of the press conference where they allow just about anybody to potentially ask a question of Dana or of the fighters. It's not just the members of the media.
You don't have to have an official UFC media credential to go show up and ask a question.
Correct. It's like an open forum.
Can you imagine if we did AJ Preller Zooms that way?
It'd be amazing.
Just let everybody
just fire
in
away
and ask questions that wanted to ask a question.
I feel like if I was a GM, I would let it happen.
You might.
A couple times a year. Be like, go ahead, fire away, smart guy. Okay, junior GM. What do you know about CBT? I think it'd be a blast, actually.
So while this was going on, Dana White took a question from somebody in the audience.
Yeah.
And the guy stands up and he says, I am an elite, undefeated athlete from Tajikistan.
Okay.
Don't know how to say that totally correctly. Tajikistan?
I think you nailed it.
I think you got it.
9 wins, 0 losses. Dana, I don't have a question. I came here for a fight on short notice. I've never had a manager. I did it all by myself. Please give me a chance. Dana, I want to fight in the UFC. Please give me a chance. I'm ready. Please, Dana. And he said, Dana was talking to the guy and he's like, so how old are you? And he's like 25, I think he was. And he goes, and you're 9-0. Really? Why don't you come on up here? And kid hops the railing, walks right up on stage, shakes Dana White's hand, and goes backstage. Press conference ends. So then TMZ Sports caught up with Dana White after this, and they did a Zoom conference, and they asked him, is this for real? Was this a plant?
Plant, maybe, yeah.
What's going on? And here's what Dana White had to say.
So, yeah, that kid hits me up. That wasn't set up. I didn't know that guy. I didn't know he was going to say that.
Right.
And we looked into it. Looks like he's 7-0. He's claiming he's 9-0. So I am actually flying to Korea for looking, Dana White looking for a fight that's on YouTube. Yeah. The Korean Zombie is putting on a show. He started his own promotion out there. December 14th, looking for a fight, Korea. I'm gonna have him put that kid on the card, and we're gonna find out what he's got.
Wow.
And if that night, I'll sign him.
If he wins.
If he wins.
So he has put him on a UFC
Nice.
card. And if he wins, he will. Dana White said he will sign him to a contract.
The Korean zombie sounds scary.
I'm intrigued by the Korean zombie.
He's a
former fighter?
promoter?
Now he's a promoter, maybe?
I think he's a fighter.
What's he? You drew the Korean zombie in your next fight. I'm out. No, thank you.
I mean, 7-0, 9-0. It really does matter who the opponents were in a lot of these fights.
Yeah, it does.
You can kind of orchestrate records. I've noticed in sports like boxing. Depending on
me against
the quality of
me
opponent.
against Bo's friends. I'm going to be 7-0, right?
All right. And then,
I have one more question, and this is maybe
Korean zombie. He was
the
a fighter.
most basic UFC question ever, and it shows that I do not really follow the combat sports. When you say UFC 308, did they just start with UFC 1 and they've just numbered them all since the very beginning?
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
That's how they do it.
They just count.
well, they used to be like monthly pay-per-views,
Right.
and then it
So
became
today's
like weekly.
this is like Ben and Woods 1,498.
You're welcome into Padres 126. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
They just do it that way. Just
Yeah.
the most
Cool.
simple possible way
That's
to
it.
name things.
Yeah, this is the
By number.
308th event we've done.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's
they're
cool.
Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But they obviously do much more than one every year,
Correct.
or else obviously they haven't been around for 308 years. So
Discovery of
how many do
America.
they do a year? Like 6, 12?
2 events a month.
Oh, so like 24 a year. All right.
All right, and then finally, we have had some fun on this show with artificial intelligence. We've also
Maybe we should stop.
been doing it very cautiously because it is, to me at least, terrifying of what the future could look like and could hold. And there's always been...
It's already here.
It is
That
here.
means
It's been
the
here.
future has arrived.
But the future's definitely here now, especially in the world of radio, which is what we do. And we've talked about, our job's probably safe. Like,
Right.
no AI is just going to come in and be able to rip Padres conversations like we do. But what about like music stations or news stations? Could those be completely replaced with artificial intelligence?
I got panicked when I saw this yesterday.
And the future is now. A radio station in Poland became the first station, I think it was a news station, to dismiss all of their reporters, fired, gone.
Hosts, they're radio hosts.
They said journalists
Yeah.
in this story that I'm reading. They're all gone. The humans have been officially completely replaced by AI. And it's caused a lot of controversy over there. A lot of people are unsure of it. A lot of people are very unhappy with it. A lot of people are curious about it. And they just said, is artificial intelligence more of an opportunity or a threat to media, radio, and journalism? We will seek answers to this question, is what the station leader put out in a statement. Basically admitting this is a total experiment.
You want it, you want it also to save 10, 20, I don't know how many people there were, 10 salaries, 10 insurances, whatever, like 401ks. You've managed to streamline your radio station by getting rid of the human beings that present, whether it was music or news or whatever it was. But this is what domed me out. I saw a tweet yesterday from David Lazarus from, he said, coming up on KTLA today, and so it begins. The Polish radio station's apparently the first to ditch human hosts and feature AI-generated presenters, a move that's almost certainly being watched by stations worldwide.
I think the dilemma here is that, in like science fiction fantasy, AI, robots, whatever, when they take over, they allow us to then all live a nice leisure-filled lifestyle. And we don't have to do the jobs that, we don't want to do anymore. We can let the robots and the AI handle it. But in reality, I'm assuming that all the people who worked at this radio station are now not living the life of luxury because, now AI is doing my job. Right. I can just kick up and drink a pina colada. I don't have to do my work anymore. They're probably not getting paid and pretty stressed about looking for another job at this point.
Did you ever watch the movie I, Robot?
No, I never saw it.
Is that the Will Smith one? I think I have seen it.
I never saw it. But what I do know about, It's a good lesson for anybody in our business now. Don't act like AI. We talked a little bit about this in the live stream last night. So many people in our business already act like their job is AI. You know what I mean? Without any real original thought or speaking from the heart. Just kind of plug and play, and this is the song, and that was, and this is. And I really appreciate so many people around our city that are still doing it and trying to get their voice heard and actually having something to say on a daily basis. But it's pretty scary to think about that your favorite jock or whatever that you listen to at your lunch hour could eventually just be some weird AI voice. Would be terrible.
Should have one of those, prove you're a human things before you listen.
Like a
CAPTCHA.
CAPTCHA.
Yeah.
All I have to do is click that. Why are some of them I just have to click a box? And it's like,
some of them I have to figure out all the
AI
bikes.
figure out how to click the box as well?
Right.
How many fire hydrants are in these photos?
I can't see now. I've told you I can't do those. Like the ladders and the crosswalks and the bridges, they trip me up every single time.
Select the photos with a car.
I'm wondering.
It kills me every time too.
You're like, oh, that's
Am
a
I
motorcycle.
AI?
Is that a car? I don't know.
Would I know if I was AI?
Shockwave 760 says I work with robots. They stock beer. So that's, doing things like that. I mean, it is taking a gig away from somebody, certainly. But I think, like anything, you just got to be careful with it. And you would hate, you would absolutely hate if your favorite radio station was like, all right, where everyone's out of a job and it's an AI
right
news feed or whatever. I don't know. It's pretty scary.
So we've done this a while back, and I thought it now was just a fitting time to do it again and bring it back. I went to old Chat GPT and I put in a prompt that says, give me a script for 2 San Diego sports radio hosts, Ben and Woods, starting their radio show on a Friday morning, so we can get an idea of what it would sound like if we were all replaced.
Here's
by,
the current level of the technology.
just like in Poland, like this is what it could sound like here on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, everybody, get your heads right on a Friday. Happy Friday indeed, Woods. You know what that means? The weekend is right around the corner, and we've got a packed show today.
Oh, absolutely. We're diving into the Padres off-season plans. What should they prioritize?
Right. Do they need to focus on pitching or hitting?
Right.
I think it's going to be a hot debate this morning. And speaking of hot debates, we'll also touch on the Chargers' upcoming game. Can they finally get over the hump against a tough opponent?
The Chargers.
If they can find a way to contain that opposing
are good.
offense, it'll be a game changer.
Why
And
does
we
my
want to hear
voice
from you,
suck?
San Diego. What are your thoughts?
That's right. We're opening up the phone lines
Ben sounds
early
like a
today.
heavy smoker.
Call us at 833-288-0973. We want to know what you think the Padres should do this offseason and how the Chargers can bounce back.
Plus, we've got our weekly Friday fun segment. You know we like to keep things
Just one
light
segment.
before the weekend.
Oh, I'm excited for that. I've got a couple of ridiculous sports hypotheticals up my sleeve.
You always do. And don't forget, we'll also have our special guest joining us in the second hour, a former Charger. You won't want to
What
miss
in the-
that.
It's going to be a fantastic show, folks. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's kick off your Friday the right way.
Let's do it. We're Ben and Woods, and this is 97.3 The Fan.
0.3.
It's maybe a little better than us sometimes. It's like that. I like how there's no breaks in the action and they just talk like this the whole time, right, Ben? And then Ben's like, yeah, man, sounds so good.
This part killed me.
You know we like to keep things light before the weekend.
Oh, I'm excited for that. Oh,
The glitch and the major. You know how Ben gets on a Friday sometimes?
oh, oh.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I'll
You know what?
admit,
Maybe
and
it's not that bad.
I've been guilty of it before. I'll admit, I've always had. It's very cringy when someone announces we're going to be having
Some fun.
Don't forget, everybody, we have our weekly fun segment.
Today is a fun
We
segment.
have scheduled a good amount of fun.
Oh.
And a former Charger.
And a former Charger. So you put in
We
to
got
chat.
Marcus McNeil. Who do we
Okay, so
have
you put in
joining
Chat
us?
GPT, a San Diego radio station that did Chargers.
So I had to make a couple of quick edits just to make it fun. But the prompt was, I'm reading it word for it. Give me a 2-minute script for 2 San Diego sports radio hosts, Ben and Woods, starting their radio show on a Friday morning. Now, I added him saying Friday, because that's how we do it here.
Yeah.
And I had to change the phone number to our current phone number. Other than that, it actually looked up Ben and Wood San Diego Sports Radio because it already put in 97.3 The Fan. I did not add that part.
They knew us.
They didn't know us that well, though, because I don't know that we're going to spend too much time previewing the upcoming Chargers game and breaking it down with like Hank Bauer today.
Former Charger Hank Bauer.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Love this. Malcolm Floyd coming up later in the show. I'll talk to Lo Neal anytime, Diesel, if Lo Neal wants to come on the program.
Oh.
All right, coming up next.
Our fun segment.
All right, let's have some fun. Friday fun.
Oh, it will be fun when we have Friday fun. Can you give away those Dia de los Deftones tickets, New York Mike? You've been waiting for it for hours. That is happening. I do have my super sexy Saturday college football lineup for you as well. First, though, traffic here with AI Kelly Danick on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Sing along, Woods. You just went and saw him.
I did.
This group.
Well, I missed this song. It was the last song of the night, Blizzard of 77. And I was home in bed.
Well, I know all this because, as Paulie just put in the AI, Ben Higgins really enjoys the local concert scene and music.
Yeah, Woodsy asked me.
AI knows me so well.
We went to break. He goes, "Hey, ask ChatGPT like if it knows what Ben likes."
Right. Let's see how good this thing is.
Sports. Said Ben likes. Big fan of local teams, especially the Padres.
Yeah. Okay.
And Chargers.
Okay.
And
I still
often
think
discusses
they're here.
games and player performances. I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But then number 4 says music. Ben has a passion for music.
Oh, God, does
and
he
often
ever.
incorporates it into his show, discussing concerts and new releases.
I'm the incorporator that way.
So who's playing this weekend that we should be in the know about?
Well, I don't know about this weekend, but I can tell you next Saturday, a great group called the Deftones is coming to Petco Park. And right now, I personally am giving away 2 tickets to the sold-out show featuring the Deftones, Idols, Paris, Texas, and more. Call now, 6th caller, 833-288-0973. Be patient. Paulie will get to you, 833-288-0973. Chance to win and join my friend Woods, who I also hooked up with tickets at the Dia de los Deftones in Petco Park.
No.
I didn't?
No.
Even though my local love of concerts and music shines through every morning here?
No.
You had a different hookup.
No.
The old Visa hookup.
credit card. Yeah.
The MasterCard hookup.
I said, how much? Oh, all right. Sounds good. Another experience for me and my son. That's all I care about.
Could have used that money to have someone build something at your house for you.
Can't take it with you is what I keep telling myself, and I don't plan on taking any of it.
No,
with
and
me.
I do agree with that. But you also can run out of it before you go, which I don't want that to happen either.
I've never been a big worrier about things like that, so I'm a big YOLO fan these days.
All right. Let's see. It is time for my super sexy Saturday college football lineup. If you have any interest in watching some college football this weekend, there's always 80 games or something.
Yeah.
So to simplify a little bit, give you the best of. A little bonus, if the World Series game is not of intrigue tonight, there is actually a pretty good game at 7:30. It is in the Mountain West. Boise State, 17th ranked team in the country, at UNLV. Winner is probably your Mountain West front runner and potential playoff contender. So one of the biggest games in the Mountain West is tonight. Tomorrow morning, Woods, you'll flip on the TV at 9 a.m. on ABC for number 12 Notre Dame. At number 24 Navy's, the undefeated midshipmen face their toughest test of the season. Well, you're nervous because if Notre Dame can lose to, who do they lose to?
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
They certainly can lose to Navy on the road.
I mean, I'm almost expecting it to happen.
But if they win, they can be top 10 team in the country again, despite that loss to Northern
that
Illinois.
Hiccup. Yeah, it's a big one, man. 14-point spread is a massive trap.
12:30, middle of the day. I'd recommend on CBS, number 20, Illinois. No Northern, just Illinois. At number 1, Oregon, as the new number 1 Ducks play as the top-ranked team in the country for the first time in over 10 years. And facing a one-loss Illini team in a fairly important Big Ten matchup early in the season.
It's crazy to say a one-loss Illini.
It's crazy to say that Illinois and Oregon is a Big Ten big matchup.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But, that one is actually pretty important. At 4:30, you've got number 8, LSU, at number 14, Texas A&M. The Aggies have bounced back from that season-opening loss to, was it LSU that went into Texas A&M and beat them? I'm trying to remember.
It's Notre Dame.
Oh, that's right. That was Notre Dame that went in and beat them.
That's right.
That is correct. So did you know that LSU and Texas A&M are the only 2 SEC teams without a conference loss? Every team has lost at least one game in the SEC. Every team has also lost at least one league game already, except for LSU and Texas A&M. They're both undefeated in the SEC, which means after Saturday, there will only be one team that even is undefeated in conference play.
That's amazing.
Which means the winner is in really good shape to at least be in the top 2 and advance to the title game at the end of the year. So this is a
huge game.
Super big game in that conference. And then tomorrow night, best game's probably Washington State SDSU, the one that I'm going to be at on CBS Sports Network at 7:30.
Is he serious?
There's really
Are you
not a
kidding
lot.
me?
Well, no. Look at the other options. They're really like Hawaii against Nevada or something. I mean, there's just not. They just don't put the late game. Now that the Pac-12 is gone, they don't have the great night Saturday options that they used to have anymore. They've kind of gone away. So there's your full day of lineup.
Okay.
How dare I what?
You know what?
I haven't put SCSU in any of the best matchups all year.
That's true.
Yeah, for a reason.
For a reason.
Exactly. But in this case, they were, I think, clearly the best matchup.
Clearly.
All right, we'll take time out. We'll come back.
Big baseball game going on tomorrow night. I'll
Yeah,
just
the
watch
World
that
Seven.
instead.
I get that. I'm not forcing anyone. This is not mandatory viewing by any stretch of the imagination. You don't have to watch any of those games. I just do it as a public service.
The one game I want to watch, I can't because I have youth soccer to go watch. So.
At 9 a.m.
At
The
10.
Notre Dame game? Oh.
Yeah. So we get there at 9, as you know, 9:30.
Well, if all goes well, by 9:30, Notre Dame will be well in control.
They'll probably have possessed the ball one time, gone 3 and out. Navy will be running a 12-minute drive for a touchdown. What are you talking about?
You know your Navy football.
Yes, I do know my Navy football. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It's the worst game of the year.
All right, we will wrap things up with more Friday fun in our final segment before Annie and Elston. Some things Ben likes. Paulie's giving away those tickets as well on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Congratulations to Romy, who won the tickets to Dia de los Deftones. Romy.
What'd you call it?
Romy. Dia de los Deftones.
Kind of
Not like Jim Rome.
No, not Jim Rome.
Clones.
God.
And Smack. Deftones.
Swear to God. Chino. I'm up
I
against
can see him being a fan.
I'm up against it because the band that plays before them is a band called Idols, who I've have been wanting to see, and I hear they put on the most incredible live show that is just full of energy. But I have a 6-year-old that I'm taking with me, and there's no chance on the planet that he'll sit for 2 bands.
You don't want to go too early, wear out before the Deftones even take the stage.
The dude is constantly bored. You could be standing in the middle of a fireworks display. He's like, "Is that it? All right, I'm bored."
Now, is this a main Petco Park stage now, not Gallagher Square?
No, they've opened the whole place, and there's
whole thing.
stages, a couple different places. They have all these cool exhibits, and they have an ofrenda and everything. It's just an ofrenda where they have, like, you can bring your
to
relatives.
like your actual
like a real
Dia
Day of
de
the
los
Dead.
Muertos. Yeah.
Yeah, it is just, they just do such a brilliant job, and every year it just goes up and up and up and up, and so I'm really up against it. So I might have to buy him something that he wants.
Well,
so he'll sit and watch 2 bands with me.
What time is it? I mean, what time does it start?
Oh, it's like an all-day thing. I mean, it starts at like 1 or something, or 2.
All right, so
Yeah,
but the
there's
Deftones don't go on
No,
until
they're the last band.
late in the day.
Yeah. And Idols, I think, is right before them.
Is it Deftones or the Deftones?
It's Deftones, yeah.
Just Deftones.
Yeah. So, but got good seats for us, so hopefully we have a little area to hang out in, give him snacks so he'll sit
What
and
about
rot.
this? What about you go earlier and then someone drops him off?
Hannah? He's going to drive down to Petco Park and dump him off now.
I'll just put him in a lift.
I'll make him. Yeah, that's probably fine. I'll just make him wear it. And maybe you just go for the last 5 or 6 songs of Idols, but it should be a really good show. And I love that they do it here. It's a huge, huge deal and so fun. It's just beautiful how they do it. So cool.
This segment of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. B-Dubs is kicking off football season with 2 limited-time sauces. Try their new Buffalo Bacon Sauce for bold notes of smoky bacon, or get the fan-favorite hot barbecue before it's gone. Try them at your local B-Dubs, or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings. Go! Final check of traffic right now here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. You guys, things are winding down pretty nicely on our roads. Might still find some lingering fog around parts of the county, but doesn't seem to be really causing any problems. Yeah, no incidents, no accidents, and no surprises. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car, and it usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, official picks, just to be on record before the series gets started.
You already made yours.
I know.
You can't waffle now.
I'm not waffling. I said Dodgers in 5, but it probably gets back to L.A., so I'll say Dodgers in 6.
Still.
Is that waffling? I don't know. Dodgers in 6.
Yanks in 4.
Yanks in 4.
You were gone. You were at Disney. I said Walker Bueller, Ferris Bueller, doesn't matter. Yankees in 4.
I told you
I'll take Yankees in 6 as official prediction.
What I'm really rooting for is Dodgers win, Yankees win. Dodgers win, Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. If that's the case, I win $10,000. So that's what I'm really. Dodgers win tonight.
It's like a
Yankees
7-way parlay.
Yankees win tomorrow. Dodgers win the next 2. The Yankees win the final 3, which seems a bit unlikely, but you never know. It's the World Series. It's baseball. Anything can happen.
My goodness, the hand wringing if the Dodgers blew a 3-1 lead.
Could you imagine?
In the World Series.
It would feed families in this town.
Dave is safe at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Even if they lose?
Yeah, I think so.
Even if they blow a 3-1 lead? There's no circumstances that you can see where the Dodgers would make a change next year.
I would never say never, man. I'd never, ever say never when it comes to baseball and things like that. One of the guys that was rumored potentially, if Dave did falter, to replace him is our beloved Skip Schumacher, who also will be joining us Monday to talk some World Series. Texted with him last night a little bit. Wanted to get his I mean, obviously you get a big league manager on to talk about. It must be fun for him too. Like managing those games must be really fun, but they're also pretty excruciating. As he managed in the playoffs last year, he's been in playoff games, been in World Series games. He knows what this is all about. Must be fun to watch your fellow manager be like, wow, I wouldn't have done that. Wow, I can't believe you did that here. So we'll have him on for that perspective on Monday.
That'll be interesting just after the first couple of games, just to get his read on what he's seen so far in the series.
I love that. So excited. I mean,
are you going to ask him, like, who you're talking to, anything like that?
No. I want him as an analyst only. Right?
We're not breaking any news.
No, just to analyze.
Is he up for the White Sox job?
Oh, I think he's been asked.
I'm sure he would be.
I'm sure he's been asked. I don't know that anybody wants that gig. You know, if you've got some skins on the wall, if you're trying to get back into the game, maybe that's the gig for you. But Juan Soto's birthday today. It'd be kind of cool to see him go yard off Flaherty in the first. But yeah, should be interesting, man, to see. You get the feeling, man, if Jack Flaherty can navigate the first inning, then Dodgers have a good shot. If he can't, and it's
the same thing's true.
Yeah, same thing's true for Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I mean it is.
Both tops, both
lineups are so dangerous right at the top that I don't remember ever watching baseball like I have this postseason against the Dodgers. Going, it's the omnipresent threat of coming back around in the order.
Well, especially now that Mookie is absolutely raking, or he was. It just makes that lineup insane. And
Freddie says he's healthier, good. Feels a lot better than he did. We'll see if that's really true or not.
And even if he's not, Muncy and Kike have done major damage this postseason. Major damage.
Well, Muncy keeps the lineup churning 100%. With his walks, which is very valuable. Kike's done major damage. Teoscar has done some major damage for that team.
Yeah, I mean, didn't get a hit until the last game of the last series, but in that particular series, but it was huge hits. So they got a lot of confidence. They got a lot of good players. It's going to be a dogfight, man. Who did we talk to? Eno. We were talking to Eno yesterday. He said, when you talk about the kind of bottom part of the Dodgers order, it is way better than the Yankees' bottom part when you're talking about Volpe and Wells and guys like that. And he's right. Tommy Edman has been insane for that team. Insane. And he was hitting fourth in the last game against the Mets. He could hit in the 7-hole. You know what I mean? And just lengthen that lineup. They got Gavin Lux coming back. They're talking about bringing Miggy Rojas back, even though I don't know why you would. I think you just keep rolling with what you have, but Dave, he wants to get those veterans in there.
The Dodgers are getting Vesia back, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like
he missed the last series. The Yankees are getting Nestor Cortes back. We'll see how the health of the teams plays out during the series. But to me, again, my reasoning is simply that bottom of the lineup. Now,
and the bullpen.
In one series,
anything.
Anthony Volpe could end up being the World Series MVP. We've seen so many unlikely World Series MVP that this is all contingent on the small sample size randomness of baseball.
Yeah,
but I have seen enough Dodgers baseball this year that, as from the opponent's side, it's very hard to get through that lineup.
That lineup is gnarly, man.
And even when you're at the bottom of the lineup, it's not like there's a huge let up. And then once they do something, you've got that top of the lineup coming back at you again.
Tim Hill versus Shohei Ohtani is going
at least a couple times
going to be key
in this series. You will definitely see that.
Yep.
And you will see how many times. I mean, Vesia Judge or Vesia Soto. You'll see a lot of
Judge
lane matchups with guys trying to get those big hitters out.
Trinan Stanton. I mean, I can't wait to see what the lineups look like, how they're going to plan. It's going to be fun, man. It's a World Series. It's always fun. Go Yankees.
All right. Before we go, Paulie, if you would, a few things Ben likes on a Friday. I like the tanginess of the cranberry. I like reflecting. I like old-time rock and roll, too. I do. I like NIL. I like my standard, very uninteresting haircuts. I do like hearing people talk about how well it's going for the Padres. I like numbers. Oh, I like the bits. I like to be educational. I like when I get up, have a glass of cranberry-juiced cocktail. I like Adam Major. I do like butterscotch. I like your tweets a lot. I still like this deal. I like to live my life after another famous Benjamin Button. I like when the Padres take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. I would have liked to have tried something else. I like Darren. I've always liked Darren. I like watching LeBron and Anthony Davis. Sex by the fire at night.
Whoa.
That's what I like. I like Jay Cronenworth. The last couple of days, I've really liked his swings. I do like horses. I like the Padres lineup. I like when things just flow perfectly. But I like Indian food. I just like a good, honest answer. I've liked what I've seen from Donovan Solano so far. I like that idea. I like 18 games in 18 days. You know, I like where the Padres are. I like that we won as a team.
I do
all
too.
of us together. I like to picture people actually in a recording studio. I like the way the Padres play baseball. What I like is the variety of the wins.
Yeah.
I liked everything about this week.
Makes one of us.
Yeah, this wasn't the
week.
greatest week in
long one.
history.
Yeah, it happens.
Long. Again, it's hard to move on until this season's over.
Correct. Sometimes you just got to take a 1 for 4 and just be happy that you got the 1. You know, it happens. It's like, hey, listen, do your best.
I did. There were some things that truly, though, your basketball excitement was something I really, really did like about this week.
Well, and as soon as baseball season's over, you know, I can get fully into it and really delve into my Memphis Grizzlies. How are they doing, by the way? 1-1?
Have they even played twice yet?
I think they played twice.
Did they play twice?
They won the first game.
I think most teams have. Well, I know Boston's 2-0, but after that, I don't know if anyone else has played twice yet in the NBA. I did see Adam actually sent me like 11 o'clock last night. He specifically said, I'm going to send this to you and not the other guy.
A text?
A text, yeah, of Nick, what's his name? Nick Wright was doing his, basically like, he is a huge NBA fan who's becoming disillusioned with the game just because of all the 3-point shots that are going up. And, like, how do you fix that in basketball? I don't mind. I think 3-point shots are the second most exciting thing on offense behind, like, a dunk.
Slam dunk.
But he said the problem is the teams have come to realize a 3-pointer is just worth 50% more than a 2-pointer.
Sure.
So they're just going to keep chucking them up and chucking them up. Yeah. And what do you do? He said the easy solution would be make 2-pointers worth 3 and 3-pointers worth 4. And then it's only a 25% difference. So it completely changes the math. But all the scoring records then go out the window because, you know, guys are going to be scoring 70 a game because all you're getting are 3 and 4 pointers the whole game.
What
so
if
you can't really do that.
What if you move the 3-point line back?
He suggested that as well. Turn it to a real arc because a 3-point line pinches in the corners. So instead, you just wouldn't be able to shoot a corner 3. It would just be an arc that ends at the sideline at some point and keep that, you know, shot further away from the basket.
That's interesting.
To make 3-point, you know, truly a tougher shot.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I don't want to lose like a Steph Curry, you know, the 35-footer where he knocks it down, or you know, Caitlin Clark in the WNBA.
I don't think you lose
Those are great.
it, though.
Those are fantastic.
Too bad for Steph. It's his fault. He broke the NBA.
Yeah.
Him and Clay
Being
and
so
the Splash
good,
Brothers of the mid to late 2010s. All the kids that were in middle school and high school watching them, they're like, well, all I'm going to do now is shoot threes. Now those are the pros that you're seeing.
The other suggestion was make dunks worth 3, which would be interesting as well. You'd have a lot of people going for dunks at that point. All right, we are done with the week. Annie and Elston will give you their final World Series thoughts and more coming up on the next 4 hours here on a Friday. For Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Talk to you Monday morning at 6 a.m. here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.